At CoCoTALK, we'd like to thank the patrons who sponsor our show, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Al Hartman, Alan Murphy, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Weasler, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Dinty from Dinty's Hideaway, Disney Saints fan, Eric Canales, Fedor Stamen, Frodo, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Bucata, Jason Downs, Jenna Farron, Ken Reichert, Kyle Etter, Malfunk, Michael Pitsley, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Richard Lorbieski, Rob Inman, Stephen Wagner, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C., Tom S., and Tim Lindner. Thank you ever so much, patrons. CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged. Sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS 80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Sure, I love my Sailor Man and Firefall. Go on a rampage for some super pitfall. Shanghai me into a game of rogue or demon attack. But sooner or later, you know.
Sing along if you know the words. Nightmare Highway.
What's up?
Nightmare Highway. Can't sing it together, huh?
Oh. Dodge some furniture, and you'll be a pop star. Well, okay,
Not Lucky Cow, is
I
that
just
guy?
stick to the facts.
Never seen him.
To tell this truth, this game really
Here we go.
ain't all that.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
I used to bow down to the Donkey King. Grabber Cash Man used to be my thing. Megabug, Buzzard Bait, Sea Dragon 2. But none of those can satisfy me much as you do.
Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Where'd that couch come from? Much the horse shit. You don't even hear the horse shit.
Hey, that's my couch.
So you're the one who threw it on the highway.
All right, and we
I
are
don't know.
here. It's been a while since we've heard the song that is just, you can sing to it, it's catchy, you can dance to it.
Song
You
that
can,
broke the internet.
Can conceive children to this
Yeah,
song.
right.
It's got so many purposes. We're here with CoCoTALK episode 182. We've got a panel of panelists that are usually stuck to a wall somewhere because that's what panels do. Panels stick to the wall, but they're here. And this episode is certified horseshit free. We have actually made sure about that. So let's go around the room. Let's see who's here, and let's start talking Coco. In the top left-hand corner, in the bottom of the world, it's none other than in the Witness Protection Program. It's David O'Connor.
Hey, everybody, I'm here from the land down under. Where we used to listen to Casey Kasem on the top 40, but we don't anymore.
This
I
is
thought it was
Casey
off to one
Kasem.
side.
Yes, this is Casey Kasem, and I'm still dead. All right, and we have our backup streamer and engineer, Mr. Mark Bosley's with us. How are you?
Hello. Shouldn't that have been allegedly David?
Yeah.
And,
We're not here, man.
His name is Ron. He's got a garage. It's Ron Delvo, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
I've
now.
seen that garage.
You lived, and you lived to tell about it, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, from the Great White North in Canada, it is L. Curtis Boyle, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I haven't got snow here yet, though. Apparently, the south part of the province in Alberta got a dump, so
Wow.
it is turning into the Great White North.
He said,
Whoops.
dump. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit strike.
Hey, watch the language. This is a family show. This is the...
What is this snow stuff? What is it? What
and
family is that?
We're
Yes.
all family.
Curtis Boyle's neighbor in Canada, it is a man whose name is so nice, we must say it thrice. It's Nick Maroda, Nick Maroda, Nick Maroda.
Good afternoon,
Oh,
everybody. Good to be
All
here.
right. And hold on one second. Alexa, do you know the way to San Jose?
There are many ways to San Jose. The founders got
Really?
there from Spain by way of Mexico.
Okay, well, this guy knows the way. This guy knows the way to San Jose. It is Michael Furman. Mikey, he likes it. Welcome, Mikey.
I definitely know the way to San Jose. Hello, everybody.
Hello. All right.
Hey, Mike.
Howdy, Mikey.
Recently married and now sitting in the passenger seat for the rest of his life. It is our resident Apple guy, Mark Overholzer.
Yay.
Do you remember that? Remember that till yes, we can hear you. Remember the vows ended till death do you part, and
Yeah, I know. It's called a life sentence.
that's right. You are not eligible for time off for good behavior. So
Yeah, I know.
beautiful ceremony, by the way. Hopefully, you guys got to see Marco's ceremony last weekend live.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely
Live.
fantastic.
everything.
It was
Glorious. And congratulations on being recently married.
Is it wrong to have a countdown clock for the end of your honeymoon?
Yeah, I did not get the link to the live streaming of the honeymoon, by the way. So he's breaking up. Mayday, man down,
Matrix.
man
I
down.
think that
red
joke
pill.
broke his connection.
That's it. All right. He is seeing
Took the
into the
red pill.
future. The role of Mark Overholzer today is played by Jason the Coco Man Reichard. Jason, what's the weather like tomorrow?
Well, tonight's forecast is partly dark. Partly cleared sunshine in the morning. Oh, and he's
There,
he
hey,
takes
Mark
that
has
visor
it.
with
Mark
him.
has
Yeah,
his face.
Yeah, he takes that with him. See, I
Oh,
I got to start
right.
Oh,
carrying
man, I
one in
don't
the
have
car.
my uniform. It's downstairs.
All right.
Oh, and I've got my Diet Dr. Pepper.
All
I'm
right.
excited.
Hey, we got a request in the chat room for the missus to say hello there, Marco.
Oh, we want to hear from Mrs. Overholzer.
She sent me a community store. Oh, okay.
All right. If you understood what he said, you are a better robot than I am.
I think she's in a different location.
Sound like he said, "Wop, bada, bop, bop, man, boom." All right.
But it was
Matrix version.
Yes. We got a guy who's got a beard.
Yeah, sorry.
And his name is Rick Euland. How are you, Rick?
Oh, fairly well. You may remember my green leaf crack from last week. Well, I'm ankle deep in leaves today, so.
Oh, wonderful. Ankle deep. That's better than
Leave me alone.
ankle deep in what I said this show would be free of today. So,
Leave me alone.
on that note, he's somewhere in the Las Vegas proper area. He is the guy who made Digger 3. He's the guy who does some cool things. Chet Simpson is with us. Welcome, Chet.
Good morning, everybody. Afternoon and good night.
That's right.
Yes.
That's all, folks.
That's it. And we got a guy who's got a cocoa hand waving at us right now. Alan Murphy's with us. Hello, Alan.
Howdy, howdy. Today I'm more paneling than panelist, but that's pretty par for the course, I guess. Hope everybody's doing all right.
Doing just fine. From Down Under, the Thunder, the creator of more games in 1 year than has been produced by probably Steve Bjork at this point. Nicholas Morantes is with us. Hello, Nick. Good day.
Good day, everyone. How you doing?
All right, we're doing okay.
How you doing?
Doing okay. So, Alexa, say crikey.
I pronounce that crikey, but I'm always working on how I say things and I might not have it right.
You suck. All right. And last but certainly
crikey,
not
at least.
least, she said
Did
crikey.
someone say crikey cable?
This guy has been to Ron's garage. He's lived to tell the tale. He has made some things for the Coco. He likes multicolored wires on his projects. Mr. Paul T. Barton is in the house. Welcome, Paul.
Woohoo! Yay! I'm
Yay.
here.
Sloopy Malibu is here. Samuel Gimes. We actually have the actual Samuel Gimes is live in the YouTube chat. Legendary.
What?
Song parodist. The creator of Coco Thoughts and parodying of songs. Samuel Gimes is here. 8 Bits in the Basement is here saying hi to Canadian Retro Things, who is here. Jim Rye is here. Jim has been doing some amazing things, making VCC not suck. And Jim, please come on the show and tell us all about what you're doing on VCC. Love to have you on the show. Scott Cooper is here. Frodo is here. Brian Joyce, Nick's neighbor, saying, crikey, good eye, y'all. James Jones is here. Eric Canales, current president of Glenside Color Computer Club, is here. Nick Marotta, Tom C. from Jersey is here. And
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Nimble is here. Nick Marotta is here. Curtis Boyle, Kevin Holloway, Mark B. We've got all kinds of people in the live panel, and we're here. We're on CoCoTALK, and this is where we talk about the greatest processor on the planet, 6502. And so when
That's something short of me.
Hey, someone blaspheme around here.
Something short of
Blaspheme around here.
I think we just got Zoom hacked.
You just need to know poke for Commodore Basic.
We need that foot coming down.
Yeah, foot. Yes, yes.
Commodore Poke Basic.
We've just been joined by AC's 8-Bit Zone and Sloopy Malibu, and David Croker has just joined us too. And so we're going to mix it up today. Because we don't have Frodo says you pronounced Z80 wrong when we apparently the greatest processor in the world to Frodo is the Z80 by the Zlog Corporation. Yes, you guys all know that company is called the Zlog Corporation that made the Z80, right? So
their theme song's by ZZ Top.
ZZ Top, exactly.
Yeah, right. I think I actually went to that company one time.
So we don't have a topic. We don't have a guest. We don't have a show for you, folks. Good night. Good night, everybody. See you next week. All right. So
You have love
every week is what you're saying.
roll the outro. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK. All right. So a lot of times when we don't have a guest, we might just roll straight into the Game On results, and I figured we're going to mix it up. And today, before we get into Game On results and Game On news, we're going to stir the shite pot a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with project updates and acquisitions. This is where you can live vicariously through those who have got disposable income and no restraint when it comes to buying retro crap. So
the one time that I don't really have anything to talk about is the time you put it at the beginning of the show. Thanks, Stevie. I appreciate that. I'm hanging around for the whole show. I got something right here, and today it's like, oh, we're gonna do that right away. Okay.
Well, here we can do. I got something. This is what we can do. We can do a shameful promotion of your latest product. How about we do that right now?
I didn't know I was selling a trolley.
Right.
Guess I missed the chain.
That's not it. I could have sworn I had your new commercial queued up somewhere. I had your commercial queued up somewhere.
Now.
All right.
Oh, there's the missus.
Oh, there she is. There's Ms. Overholzer in the house. Let's zoom in.
Good boys.
Hello.
Hi, Tina.
Hey.
Hello, Ms. Overholzer.
Hi, Tina. And hello, Mr. Overholzer.
Congratulations, you two.
Tina, does Mark have permission to be on the show?
Crikey.
Don't let her watch it.
Yes, I do.
Oh my God, that is horrible. Your bandwidth is horrible.
You got a really bad connection there, Marco.
Yes. All right. Well,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Apple.
Congratulations to Mark and condolences to Tina. And we're moving on. So I thought I had the new commercial queued up. I don't. I suck. My bad. But let's go ahead and let's see who's got something new to talk about and things to share. Project updates, acquisitions, show and tell. Mikey Furman is raising his hand right now. Very polite of you, Mikey. Well-mannered. I'm not used to that from you California folk, but that's good.
Oh, really? You think I like stirring things up, do ya?
Hey, Mike, we got special long news segment for today, just for you.
Special long.
And since Mikey's talking right now, I'm going to slide through this segment.
Time. You need to catch up on your sleep, so we figure we make it longer.
Any smoke around there, Mikey?
Yeah, the air sucks today, but I don't know where the smoke is coming from. Most of the fires are almost out, as far as I know.
Is Tommy Chong in your area?
Yes.
Yeah. Most of it's coming from the politicians, I think.
It's some 6502s around.
Yeah, all them 6502s are heating up the atmosphere.
No, I don't have a 6502, but I do have an FPGA. So this week they decided to open up my office, my place of employment, and allowed us to remove our personal items. And one thing that's been hanging out there on my desk is this is, I've shown this before. It's a FPGA board. It's an Altera DE2. And it can run a
programmable gate array.
But I've been actually using this to actually learn how to program the FPGA chip. And you can do all kinds of cool stuff. So basically, it's programmable hardware.
Neat.
You can write a program, and you can make whatever kind of hardware you want. Well, I mean, there's some limitations, but you know, once it's basically just another programming language, and once I learn that and get the hang of it, I want to try to hook this guy up to a Coco and try to do stuff.
Neat.
How much memory does it have?
I think this one has. Oh, it says right on it. It says it has 8 megabytes. The RAM chips are here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it has 8 megabytes of synchronous DRAM, and then it has flash. How much flash? It actually has 8 megabytes of synchronous DRAM, has 512K of static RAM, and 4 megabytes of flash. So you can hook those up in the FPGA. So Coco 3 FPGA actually does run on this board, although I have never. Did I load it? I don't remember if I did or not. But anyway, that's not what I'm doing with it. I'm learning Verilog. So
FPGAs are such cool devices. So much you can do with them.
Cool. Very cool.
I always thought FPGA was some type of rogue golf league.
Yes, it's the Frog. It's the Frog, a.k.a. French-Canadian Professional Golfers League.
Golf Association? Oh, thank you.
I thought it was a song by the Village People.
FPGA. It's fun to stay at the FPGA. So everybody.
Oh, we're full of horse shit.
We need to get synchronized on that one. We need to do a video on that. We need to get everybody lined up like a chorus line.
Where's the guide?
Erico has joined us in the live chat. Erico is doing some incredible pixel art work on some really cool semi-graphics looking stuff, and hopefully we got some of his stuff in the news, and hopefully he'll come on and talk to us when he's got some more stuff to talk about. All right, so that was Mikey showing off his FPGA. Who else has got a show and tell, project update, acquisition, story to share? Anyone?
I have a quick project update.
Uh-oh. L. Curtis Boyle, ladies and gentlemen, has...
So we're still working on Beta 6, which will be out in December. There's a bunch of stuff we're still doing with it, but one of the things I am working on right now, Floyd Ressler, who did a bunch of games for Nitrous 9 and OS 9 back in the day in like 1990. He did about 5 or 6 of them. One of them is on the current Beta 5. That's the Magic Stones game, but I'm kind of helping port some of the, or decompile the Basic 9 source code for a couple others, because now they're running too fast. We sped out the graphics and stuff like that, so some of his other games like Gem Quest and Mine Rescue and a few others there are running too quickly now. So I'm decompiling the Basic 9 source code, and I'm going to try to get it to slow it back down, or maybe smooth out the graphics a little bit, or do some other little tweaks to it. So that's what I'm in the midst of doing right now. So that'll be a game that will be on, Gem Quest in particular will be on for sure on the Beta 6 with the source code, and then I'll send it off to Floyd, because Floyd said he wanted to do some modifications to it too when he gets time. Unfortunately, with the COVID stuff, he's actually been more busy than ever with his job. So anyway, progress of continuing proofreading the technical reference manuals on stage 2. there's a couple changes that we're waiting to get done on that, and then I'll be releasing that probably before Nitrous 9 EOU Beta 6 comes out. So hopefully sometime by the end of this month or early November, we'll have the technical reference manual updated version out for everybody.
I saw you had posted something in the Nitrous 9 group too about a patch you released for, was it a debug or something like that?
Yeah, it was a little typing mistake I did when I optimized it a little bit and screwed up a branch statement. So thanks for catching that for the people that did catch it.
And so you're basically saying right now things are so optimized that some things are running too fast. How often have we had to complain, man, this thing is running just too darn fast?
Yeah, well, I mean, things were written back for the original graphics driver system, which was quite a bit slower. And now that we've sped it up, especially on the 639, like it's almost unplayable. You hit the right on the joystick, you can literally run off of a cliff, and fall down and die.
Try 25 megahertz on the FPGA, man. This makes
even though the X at 3 megahertz, it's lickety fast.
Man.
And
this is why PCs had turbo buttons, so you could slow it down, not to speed it up.
Yeah, there's actually on the FPGA there's a switch you can throw it back to standard speed.
See, Nitrous needs the turbo button, so you can.
Well, I mean, in Nitrous, you can go to another window and do the slowdown poke, and actually you'll kick it back to 1 megahertz, and that'll do it. Or you can run a basic 9 program. It's just in a forever loop, incrementing a variable or something just to slow the rest of the system down. But I'm going to try to make it multitasking friendly, which means your other programs won't slow down that much while you're playing the game. That's what I'm kind of shooting for.
Very cool. Very cool. Who else has something?
I wanted to say that I'm working on a game.
Oh,
I'd like to, and it's has a similar name to Zaxxon, and it doesn't really work, so I've called it Zax Off.
You're going to release a source code for that too, right?
Yes.
Zax on.
Zax Off. I love it.
Nop.
And remind us before we finish our updates, Ron. We want to go over some of your stuff that you've been doing in the
I got
Ron's
stuff,
Garage and
man.
stuff. Who else has got something to share today?
Well, I've got some Coco historical kind of things that might be kind of funny.
Okay.
You mean hysterical?
Hysterical, yeah. Can I steal the screen for a moment?
Yeah. Let me stop sharing. You go ahead.
And I will take over the world.
So I want to know, is that Model 1 back there just a picture because it's always there in the same place?
That's the Model 1 that I need to get back to fixing someday, but now that my Coco hobby is taking all my time away from the Coco, much less the Model 1, it just kind of sits there waiting on me. I leave it right in front of me so to remind me that I still haven't done anything about it. So anyway, do we have motherboards?
These look like a bunch of Coco motherboards.
So yeah, back in the day, Connect would buy systems working or not, and I tried to fix them, and the ones I couldn't fix ended up in a peach crate, which I have recently dug through and found these kind of interesting ones. So here's my retirement fund now.
Not one gimme chip.
Excuse me?
They've all been gutted of their gimmies. Huh?
Oh, they've all been, parts have been pulled from all of these and used to, this is the bottom of the bucket. I put together, 100 Cocos out of parts, and this is the worst of the lot.
Right.
I think it's kind of interesting. The only one that says runs is the one with the massive damage between the ROM.
Oh my God, you had to
That's the one that runs, mind you. That's the good one. So
they're all crying. Yeah. They're all crying out on Eversong. They're going, "Give me."
Oh,
I'm going to need, give me X's for everybody.
So looks like you replaced almost all of the CPUs with sockets too.
These were, like I say, the first attempt at a fix back, because I didn't have a scope or anything. So my first attempt at a fix, if it had a border and didn't show any text inside that border, I assumed CPU and socketed it. Except for this one, which has other problems. But in any case, that was kind of fun. And then,
so these are candidates for earrings, right?
Right. Well, now that the things are worth $300 a piece, I'm going to have to look at them again.
Yeah, right.
At the time, uncomfortable earrings.
At the time, you could get these for $20. $30. Not working. Coco 3. Yeah. So anyway, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And I found this Coco 2. with a composite mod kit on it and the world's oldest temporary jumper wires you might ever see. So yeah, 35 years for these push-on J-clips, not a problem. So this is fun, and it's old. So I'm happy with that thing. And then here's a really interesting one you might have read in the Rainbow, that you can pop your gimme out with 2 screwdrivers. Customer tried that. Didn't realize the gimme has a socket around it.
They yanked the socket out.
He didn't manage to actually pull anything out, but he did cut all of the top traces here, here, and here in his attempt. So the shocking thing is it almost works. It works when it's cold. It crashes when it's hot. Here's the opposite. If you only had 1 screwdriver and you tried to pry the gimme
Oh my
out,
God, it's missing some teeth there, huh?
you would swivel these 2 pins right off of it as it angled up out of the socket. So I have a bunch of gimmies like this that I always intended to get out my Dremel tool and work on, but never did. So yeah.
Is that first year or second year?
It was an 87.
This is an 87. Yeah, this would be a nice gimme if it worked.
It's this. Send it to the dentist. It needs a couple of replacement teeth.
It doesn't need those teeth anyway.
Yeah.
I probably did the easy hack where you stick it in and stick a wedge in to make the connections here, and it didn't work. So I just gave up on it. But you get stuff. Repacks. We talked about repacks at once. Here's an old one that I always thought was kind of elegant. This actually came from Brother Jeremy because it had died and we tried to fix it. What they've done is desolder the 40-pin connector, turn it around, shove it back in, but sort of halfway past the angles and the pins on it so that it shoots up at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
And that lets you cram a floppy controller in there, and then you just swivel the power thing to one side, and then it goes in the PC case. And that was a repack that everyone did because it was considered very, very bad to do any additions, Y cables, extensions off of the end here. So you did everything to not do that. Well, I ignored all that crap, and the repack I sold looked like this.
Talk about elegant, huh?
There's an MPI there.
There's an MPI.
There's a multi-pack flying off the end of a angled cable.
Yeah.
Just soldered to the motherboard, so there's still only one connection. I computed the number of connections was a problem.
So would you need a full-size tower case for one of these, or?
Yeah, this was a full-size tower case. All of the cards sat back over the top of the motherboard.
Does it run?
Organized as you see. Yeah, this one still does. This was the so-called commercial version I tried to sell as the Cube, but my financing fell apart and my company fell apart, and it never happened. But the idea was, you use the stock keyboard it plugged into here. There's your RGB connector.
Oh wow!
Volt multi-pack, XT power supply with these connectors. So it was decent. Here was my office version, which was the same thing but with a Pupo adapter, so I could use a real keyboard.
Neat.
This one probably runs, but where am I going to find a keyboard? So I would have to
they
do
required an XT keyboard, if I remember correctly, right?
Exactly. Not even an AT.
Check with David Ladd. He's probably going.
He's probably got some.
I have
we got 10 of them.
I have a Model F downstairs.
Sweet. But then it gets worse. Here's a hack for you. The globular thing here was the original serial port that I sold for a while, and my second multi-pack died, or my multi-pack died, and I had to be online because I was on Delphi every day, and I had to have floppy because I was running OS 9. So here we go. Here's a floppy hacked to a serial port with a bit of hard drive cable.
Oh,
there's the backside.
You plug the serial port in, and then the hard drive the floppy hangs off of it.
The Coco kind of ran right like this, and it just kind of snuck out of there on the side. And
is there a switch?
No, it kind of passes all the way through, right?
Yeah, you run both
sides.
sides.
Yeah, it's a Y cable.
It's a Y cable, yes, exactly. It's a Y cable.
Okay. And I had this because I sold these. I had this in the house, and I just took a piece of IDC. So yeah, you can get really, really ugly on Y cables on a 2 megahertz machine.
And it still works.
Moral of the story. Yeah, it was fine. I ran it forever. I used it for my shop Coco when I split up. The disposable Coco and the one I have to have.
What kind of speeds do you get on it?
Oh, this was just a regular 6551, so maybe 600 in OS9.
Yeah,
it was a good day. Let's see where we go. The backside of that.
Multi-pack.
This is really fun. I used to sell upgraded multi-packs. So I had sold this to somebody and it came back and I just took one out of stock, shipped it to him and threw it in the pile. And I never looked at it. And I just looked at it while I was going through all this stuff. And the problem was I never pushed these power pins all the way down. So it ran for testing and it died during shipping and it sat for 25 years.
Wow. What was the upgrade you did? What's the upgrade on the multi-pack?
For the Coco 3. So it
it doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't chatter over the gimme. I've still got some of these.
So that's why it didn't work. Is it what
the power?
When I upgraded it and I put it all back together, I didn't seat all of these power pins properly. So it worked when it was freshly put together in testing, but by the time the customer got it,
it kind of wiggled loose. Yeah.
And I just sent him another one.
What's the Dave Jones wiggle wiggle wiggle? Yeah.
Wiggle it just a little.
Is that the new style?
Yeah, that's the little one. That's the little one. The old ones were these
bigger.
Yeah, I sawed the whole back off. They came way out back here with the power supply that is missing on this one. I used to use these because you could just stuff in PAL chips and no soldering. And when they were plentiful, you see the power supply downgrade. You're on a saber saw down the backside of it, and she's downgraded. And then you just feed it from an AT supply. These were great machines. I ran this thing forever.
Wow.
Let's see. Is there anything else in this pile? Oh.
Was any of that stuff for sale?
Oh, look at these Coco 3s with keyboards.
And these are my most prominent. Here's my retirement fund right here. These were dead, but they're all in very good condition. This one will run at low speed, but not high speed, even though it's got good RAM and it's got
keyboard's super clean. That looks like an Ed Snyder keyboard.
That's a Tandy 512K on it.
Yep. And with new RAM, because like I say, it wouldn't run at double speed, so I put 120s in it, and that didn't help. So I don't know, but these are. So I've actually got 8, 9, 10 Coco 3s if you add it all up. If I could get them all running, like you say, that'd be sitting pretty. I could finance my next 3 projects off all Cocos. But yeah, if I get any of this stuff working, I'm going to make it available. It shouldn't be sitting dead.
Right.
So I'm just trying to force myself to get off my butt by showing it to everybody. So he's like, "You get them Cocos done yet?"
Coolio.
And I will feel goated to have to do it. And then. Let's see, I can unshare, but I'll show you my last sad thing that I found in my pile of stuff. Let me come back, Zoom. Zoom left me. The windowing system on Ubuntu just does not get along with Zoom at all. I've completely lost my main window. Here we go. Here's a pop-up, stop share. Oh, and then I found this. Brand new sealed
rescue on Fractulus.
Oh, it's got a fractal on it.
It's a little bendy.
It's a little fractal, yes. Yeah. But it's still sealed in the plastic. Watch out, folks.
It's in there.
It's a collector's.
Wow.
See,
that's worth $20 million on eBay.
Right.
I've got one here, but it's not all bendy. And it's
yeah.
I think yours is probably worth more because it's custom.
Right, and that one's just
you could make yours look like his.
That would ruin the authenticity, though, wouldn't it?
Right,
like antique,
modified, and that's you don't want modified.
Cool stuff, Rick. Oh, by the way, thank you for becoming a patron too. I didn't get a chance to update the recording on the show, but I noticed that today, so thank you for that.
Certainly.
Who else has got some show and tell stuff? Updates, acquisitions, anyone, Bueller. Bueller? No?
I can show mine from last week again.
I missed it. Sure.
Oh, I'm kidding. I'm not doing
Okay.
that.
Any news from Camp Chet? There's Chet muted.
No, actually not muted. I was thinking I
Okay.
was. Actually, yeah, I did. I don't know if anybody saw my post, but I was able to recover the code for Digger 1 through disassembly and luck, actually, and laziness. So that's actually what
I have that in the game on news. Did you want to save it for that, Chet, or do you want to do it right now?
We'll go ahead and save it for that. I don't want to steal your news and stuff, but yeah, that's kind of the stuff I'm working on right now.
Cool.
I'm just
that's an interesting story how you got back some of the original labels and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I want to discuss that.
Yeah, so we can talk about that later. That's
Okay, cool. All right, and then we're going to turn this over to Ron Delvaux then, if nobody else has anything, because Ron's had a very busy week this week, showing off artwork and splash screens and Coco SDC stuff. So Ron's been a busy guy this week. So Ron, you going to do a share on your end?
Okay, I will.
All right. Engage number 1.
Okay.
The do run, the do run.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like a share song.
What we have here is my TDP.
Okay.
With the dragon. Now, what I thought of was I came up with a opening graphic for your computer or anyone's computer. This is for the dragon. I've got a whole bunch I've made. This is for the VG6 Coco VGA.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I don't know how to program. So what would be cool is if somebody can come up with the code that would make this come up, upon boot, like we can do with the Color Computer 3. And
oh, you mean like kind of modified ROM?
yeah, well, for instance, the SDC has, I have it so that I can boot up
like auto boot something.
Yeah, auto boot something.
Right.
It comes up right from the SDC.
Yeah, I actually
program.
have a program that Brendan gave me that would display a splash screen from his graphics mode. I can just send you that because I use that at the beginning of Kabam where it shows the Coco VGA logo in the SG6 mode. So it's just a little basic program that you can run in your startup on your Coco SDC to display that image, and then you can have it pause for a period of time or whatever.
Yeah, this here is a rendering from Sockmaster's high color too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
you
one.
can see there's a ton of them in here. And I did it for the 64K machines, and that's the original. And then I go and render from that to
I think
BIN
Erico
file.
Erico is trying to ask a question about the image. You don't need help with the image being produced. You need help with getting image displayed on the screen on startup, right? Right. So we just need a program to fire up that graphic on startup, which would go in your SDC file.
Yep.
Yeah, these look cool.
Yeah. So it does work. I have on my machine sitting next to me here. I have it so it comes up, and then Terry Steggy came up with an idea for changing the colors on your
the palette
SDC.
hacks? Yeah.
And so that worked. Here is a boot.
Okay, Ron Delvaux's boot.
What's that a boot? What is that a boot? It takes a while because it's loading the screen, but at the same time, I have a switcheroo, and
there's your screen. Your screen came up on start.
Yeah, the HD video thing finally goes away.
Yeah. Okay. So you actually have the image. You have the image coming up on your boot.
Yeah, and then if you hit a key, it goes to the new colors.
All right, and then there's your palette hacked SDC Explorer.
Yeah,
which looks cool.
Is that a Sockmaster image?
Yes.
You could probably do that very same image that uses half the memory if you just do a normal screen, because that's not really a high color image. And it'll be sharper.
Really? Yeah.
It'll be sharper.
Well, you guys that program know all that good stuff. Us guys that play with stuff. I can do artwork.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I like,
Very nice
I like
artwork.
your,
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
your
yeah.
logos.
really good
Thanks,
stuff,
guys.
Ron.
Also, Ron, before you let go here, you also posted, and I didn't put this in the news, I completely forgot, and I just saw it when you were going through your pictures there, but you had that Antico ad for making custom ROM cartridges from back in the day.
Yeah. You know, I was looking through a Rainbow, and it was an early one, I think 83. Opened a couple of pages, and I saw that, and I thought, is that a ROM pack? Yeah. And I saw the ad, and I thought, you know what? I'll look it up so I can get a good screen print. And I did it. I went to one of these places that has all the rainbows, and I brought it up, and I did a screen print and put it up, and asked if anybody else had any of those ROM packs around, because you always see the Radio Shack ones, but that's a different company, right?
Yeah, Antico.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if you can, Ron, do you want to share that screenshot just so people can see what the ad looked like? They did produce a couple commercial cartridges. They did the 8-ball pool. I think they sold that way. Intergalactic Force, I think, was another.
I'm not sure where it is.
I like the color set there. It's pretty nice. Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Commodore 64.
It reminded me a lot of MS-DOS type stuff. A lot of MS-DOS menu stuff was always, people chose like the white or yellow font on the blue background.
It's got that 6502.
I don't know where it is.
Is that part of the SETI project down there, Ron? All those little
No.
codes? No?
Yeah, that's it.
That's like a wizard chart.
Okay.
No, that's his Bitcoin mining.
There's
His
no
Bitcoin mining stats down there.
Ron's garage. It's coming, guys.
There's no intelligent life on this show. I can
have
tell
an
you that much.
extremely fast computer.
And I just thought it was cool because I remember Antico sold games for at least 6 to 8 months in Rainbow, but the ad for getting custom-made cartridges and selling the cases and the cartridge ports and the actual boards and stuff was actually, I think, just a couple months they advertised that.
This is in my observatory, my two color computer 3s, and then I have a whole bunch of stuff. This is where I'm sitting now. And
on your lower right there, Ron, where it says Recent Media, if you click that See All, it should show up in there, I'm thinking.
Where's this at?
Where it says Recent Files, See All. Right, to See All.
Over here?
Yeah. On the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, it says Recent.
Your other right.
Right-hand side.
Okay, under Recent Media or Recent Files?
Up.
Yeah, Recent Media, then See All. Underneath.
Yes, hit See All under Recent Media. There we go. And then...
And there it is.
Oh, right there. Okay. There you go. There it is.
Enter into the newest dimension for your color computer and TDP 100 Antico. Yes, I remember that company. ROM pack. Application, high-res games, utility, experiment, 2K, 4K, 8K.
Very good.
And Ron got involved and it became the Ron pack.
Yeah, right.
That's it. That's what you should get into, Ron. I was thinking the same thing. You should bring that back and call it the Ron pack.
The Ron pack.
The only problem is I have no ROM in my head to do it.
But they'll sure look pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys.
They say that memory is the first thing to go, and what was the
What's
second? Yes, exactly. Very cool stuff. Anybody else have an update or acquisition, show and tell, project update? Anyone? Bueller? All right, then we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with a brand new Coco Thoughts from Samuel Gimes, which I believe is Game On related, and I believe is probably a song parody, which is one of Ron Delvaux's favorite things.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yes, okay. So just real quick, just to something to think about before we go to commercial. Jesus or Satan? Which one do you guys like better? I don't know. Okay, no, we're kidding. We're moving on. Come on, just so you know. All
Time
right,
to go to the bathroom.
We're going to take a commercial break. And we're gonna play us right now with a little Coco Do for you as we go to commercial here.
CoCoTALK will return after these messages.
Coco de, c'est le coq champignon, des micros et donne le pion. Pour le jeu, il est pas bavard, les études, c'est pas bizarre. L'expansion, il envoie ça, les commandes, tu vas voir ça. Notre Coco est bon bonhomme, pour tes coups, c'est bien serviable. Coco de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac.
Un ordinateur couleur qui a de la personnalité. Le Coco 2 de Radio Shack. En solde pour Noël à partir de 149,95.
Coco de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac, c'est toi.
Oops.
There it is.
Holy shit.
Okay. Now,
CoCoTALK will return after these messages.
CoCo2, c'est le coq champignon, des micros et dans le pion. Pour le jeu, il est pas batable, les études, c'est pas bizarre. L'expansion, il envoie ça, les commandes, tu vas voir ça. Notre Coco est programmable, pour tes cours, c'est bien serviable. CoCo2 de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac.
Un ordinateur couleur qui a de la personnalité. Le CoCo2 de Radio Shack. On solde pour Noël à partir de 149,95.
CoCo2 de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac. C'est toi et CoCo2.
And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. If you're using your color computer in Quebec and it stops working, is it now a Coco won't do?
Hi, Ron Delvaux, Timberman, Coco Fest, CoCoTALK.
In a world where RGB produces black and white video, one cable can make a difference. Switcheroo. CoCo3ScartCable.com.
Hey, have you got your Coco 3 yet? Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and you've tuned into CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer.
What's going on, everybody? Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and if you're a fan of vintage computing and retro gaming, then you're going to love our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. There you will find custom designs by Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. You can get I'm a Coconut, CoCoTALK, and other cool video game images on a t-shirt, coffee mug, or mouse pad. So if you love retro, then head on over to the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com today. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you.
Radio Shack's store-wide manager's red tag sale is on now. We've slashed prices 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. Save on famous Radio Shack hi-fi, car stereo, radios, toys, TV games, calculators, walkie-talkies, and CB radios. Look for the big red tag. Save like never before on these and literally hundreds of red tag specials. Hurry into Radio Shack today.
Hi, this is Randy Kindig of the Floppy Days podcast. I just love me some Coco, and nobody covers it better than Steve Strobridge. You're listening to CoCoTALK.
And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. I'm the shock trooper, and I'm gonna shoot the alien. I'm the shock trooper, and I know they're not mammalian. All around my hometown, I'm trying to track them down. Dodge the lasers and the evil Zaproids to save all of the humanoids. To save all the humanoids. And I say, I'm the shock trooper, and I swear I'll make the best mix. I'm the shock trooper.
Mojo going on.
All those Terminators will commence. Those aliens always hated us for what I don't know. They are trying to plant their seeds. I say kill them before they grow. I say kill them before they grow. I say. I'm the shock trooper, and I will avoid the filter grids. I'm the shock trooper, particle emitters be forbid.
Clever.
Oh,
my God.
I didn't know what he would do with the game this week. That was excellent, Sam.
Oh, sung to the tune of I Shot the Sheriff, for those who weren't aware.
I'll be funked. I'll be funked.
That was, I don't know. Samuel Gimes, I don't know how he does it. I
do like Tim Franklin's comment in the chat, though. Such a talented singer, just not sure what he's talented in, though.
I have to admit, when I pick a game, I wonder, is Samuel going to be able to do anything with this? I don't let that affect my decision, but I do. It does cross my mind when I pick them. So
I think at this point, Samuel Gimes has crossed all boundaries. I don't think there's a song or a game that Samuel is not capable of doing.
He has crossed all boundaries. He needs a restraining order.
Yes. And I tell you what, I did, because I missed the show last week, I didn't see the video of the Marble Madness until this morning when I was getting ready for the show, and I really liked the Marble Madness one too. That was really good. So
really clever stuff.
Clever stuff from the minds of Samuel Gimes. Good stuff. It is now time for Nick Marota's favorite part of the show, because it's all about him at this point.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, without any further ado, here we go with the Game On High Score Challenge introduction and results.
High Score Challenge with Nick Marota.
All right, and welcome to another week of results. This week we played Shock Trooper with 26 players. Our Ellen Murphy, 8,378. Ken Reichard, 15,239. Brian Weasler, 18,337. Louis, 22,078. Mr. Dave, 23,043. Catlord, 23,132. Canadian Retro Things, 23,617. Mark Bosley, 24,347. OG Stevie Stroh, 24,623. Me, 26,099. Tom C, 27,337. Jim Rye, 28,114. Buck Owens, 28,285. Just Mike, 31,580. Al Curtis Boyle, 32,009. Sloopy, 32,265. David Ladd, 32,373. Joshua Craker, 32,525. Adam Tandy Dragon Guy, 37,940. 8-Bits in the Basement, 39,201. David Craker, 39,427. Frodo, 43,096. Tasman, 44,663. Chet Simpson, 51,162. Karen, 59,650. And the number one scorer this week belongs to Erico with 71,329. Nice score. Thank you to everybody who participated this week, and thank you for the suggestion of the game.
Wow, good job, Erico. Good job to all the participants. The top 10 was pretty darn good. I feel completely insignificant with my score.
I did play, but level 3 can die.
So yes,
that
thank you.
level's easy.
Thank you to Just Mike and Terry for suggesting the game. And I do have an errata. I apologize to Rogelio, who also submitted a score that got lost. 13,767. That will be in the official score list that appears in the Game On Challenge. So we actually had 27 players this week, which
good turnout.
Excellent. All right. That didn't do what I thought it would do. All right, so Rainbow Review for Shock Trooper.
Just when you think the game writers have run out of scenarios, along comes a program that restores your faith in the future of space games. Such game is Shock Trooper, created by Mark Data, a long-time pace setter and innovative programming. The challenges are seemingly endless, and the difficulty level is enough to frustrate even veteran game players. Wow, this is a great way to start off a review, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, she did a really great job of reviewing this, and apparently the game consists of 14 screens. I only saw the first 4, so so I can't verify, but apparently there are 14.
Huh? Allegedly, there are 14 screens, huh?
Several of the top players could verify that for you.
Yeah.
Here are the scores from back in the day.
Yeah.
These actually seem reasonable, especially because even though our top score was 70, Tasman was able to get actually over 100 by doing a bit of what he considered an exploit. So we'll talk about more of that in a bit. But anyway, here's some gameplay submitted by, thank you, Ken Reichert, for submitting this. This is the first gameplay video that I believe he submitted. So, yeah, would you guys
very
think?
short.
This might have been what he used to give Samuel Games for his music video.
Yeah, possibly, yes. So, what do you guys think of the game?
Great
I really
game.
like it.
It's difficult.
I really liked it back in the day. It has excellent theme music. Of course, the game itself is based on the old VTV show. And they even had that kind of warbly organ. Like most of the Coca games had that standard organ sound. This actually had a little bit of a difference to it. Good sound effects. Just a generally fun game. And of course, there's that hidden test mode that the original author left in it too. If you know the right key sequence, you can get to.
Yeah, apparently you pause the game and go Shift O R Shift S, which is probably the last 3 letters of visitors. That's my guess. But
Nope, it's based on his initials.
Oh, then fine. I thought I had a V connection.
Yeah, Rob
Does it
Shaw is the
tell
author
you-
of the game. So go ahead.
Does it tell you who shot the sheriff?
So that test mode, I guess it gives you some sort of invincibility, but not all. From what I
I'm
think
the
David Ladd
Shock
was playing with.
Trooper.
You're immune from the bullets, but apparently you're not immune from other things. So I'm not quite sure what test mode does. I never played with it.
You can't kill the alien on here, can you? On this screen.
No, those robots, I don't think they're killable.
You can just
You
push
can
them
repel
around.
them. Yeah.
This is as far as I got.
Like I said,
So apparently
double
you are
team guy.
getting points just for shooting at them. So
Yeah, but your radiation increases.
yes, true.
So I've heard some strategies like when you're near the radiation decontamination center, to just shoot your ray and maximize your radiation hit points, and then go into the decontamination.
Well, for the first level, if you just go up to the top right corner and just wait for those little at looking things to come out, and just keep on shooting them until your radiation gets close to the end, you can get about 25,000 points on that first stage.
Oh, I thought those things to me reminded me of the Ed 209 from RoboCop, the enforcement droid. So it could be like a little mini walker too. Yeah.
Actually, since we're talking about this already, let's skip ahead to Tasman's video. So he will link to the full video, which is like 45 minutes long. This is just a 90-second highlight reel of the main points. But Tasman was able to get over 100,000. So just like Chet was saying, basically.
Yeah, I guess that is more like an at than it is. I don't know why. Back in the day, I used to think it was a RoboCop thing.
So this is on screen 4. He would hang around and just shoot them and then go down to the decontamination center and.
He only got
eliminate.
19,000.
Well, that's because he's not done yet.
Well, no,
So
that's on this. No, you can get 25,000 each go around.
So then he skips ahead to and this is level 4. Sorry, this is screen 4, and he rescues the three guys.
So that little thing where the radar is pointing down, is that what the spawner is to generate the ATST looking thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then he hangs around up here and just keeps shooting until his radiation.
Right. So you're
maxes
you're
out.
farming them at this point. Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, if this was Call of Duty and somebody killed me on a spawn kill like this, I would say what I was going to do to their mother over the headset.
Oh, why say it?
So he repeats this ad nauseum until he gets to a point where he can no longer. He basically was maximizing score in this. Not that was his
Oh,
goal.
see, but when you're standing on that thing, you can't shoot.
Yeah, the
And
little
so he
rainbow
ended up-
colors going across.
Yeah.
So he ended up with 123, but he didn't submit this as a score because he felt it was taking.
Right. Yeah. I remember
didn't-
I remember one night when I was playing this. Karen was in the Discord chat too. He mentioned that too. He's like he knew the farming trick where you could sit there and just let them keep respawning and just keep shooting them for points.
But thank you, Tasman, for submitting that, and we'll have a
So is that cheating? I don't know that that's
I don't
necessarily
know.
cheating. It's you're exploiting the game, but if you're playing the game with the normal number of lives, it's kind of like, we figured a few things out when we played Donkey King, where if you jumped over more barrels, and if you got the hammer and you used the hammer the whole time for more
Yeah.
points, there are certain things you can do that are legitimately getting you some points. And when you're playing for points, that's not the worst thing in the world to do, I guess, right?
That was purely his call. I would have
Yeah.
respected either way. If he would
Yeah.
have submitted it as a score, I would have taken it.
I would take that
was-
as completely legit. I mean, if you're going for
Yeah.
score, I usually played these games to see if I could get through all the levels. That was more my thing.
Yeah, if you're going for a speed run, you skip all that crap. If you're going for score, I mean, which is kind of what this is, the high score challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exploit all you want, man.
Yeah.
So
he's number one.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff. It is a fun game. I found some bugs. We saw a few things. I found where you could start walking and erase part of the wall, the floor, and as you were walking, it would destroy part of the floor, and then you could create a big gap that you couldn't get across. I remember seeing stuff like that. So there was a few bugs in it. But very cool design, great concept, great execution, minus the bugs. I also found the collision detection sucked. If the frickin' robot was like nowhere near you, you still got electrocuted and died. So
this is Canadian Retro Things playthrough. I don't know if the other two showed the invisibility, but I know Canadian Retro Things does use the invisibility during his playthrough,
yeah,
which lets you avoid getting shot, but at the cost of
Radiation shoots up, yeah. The invisibility thing is funny because when I first played this, of course, it was part of like most of us did as kids because we couldn't afford these games. But I had no idea about the invisibility until years later.
Yeah, it's helpful. There's the one screen where you got the thing shooting into the mirror, and it's such a tight window of trying to get down to shoot that thing that it's actually that's when I had used the transparency thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
go ahead.
This is the same guy who made Tut's
I was
Tomb.
just gonna bring that up. Tut's Tomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob Shaw. So
Very
Tut's
similar.
Tomb is the earlier game. This was a little bit later, so I think this is a bit more finesse than Tut's Tomb was, music wise and some of the graphics and stuff. But definitely based on the same rough engine, I would say.
Now, did he also do that Bandit O game?
El Bandito?
Yeah.
El Bandito?
He's just looking for an excuse to make fun of me.
El
That's how
Bandito.
it's spelled. What do you want me to do? So there he went invisible.
Yeah.
But his radiation.
Because there's only a handful of games that use this inverse mode where it was the white background with black on white. But it worked very well for those games. So El Bandito was one of them. Fangman. Who did El Bandito and Fangman? Was that Rob Shaw?
David
too?
Crandall.
Oh, David Crandall. Okay. Yeah. All right, but same concept. Use this same mode and used it well. So there was, there's 4 games that come to mind on the Coco that use the inverse P mode 4 screen extremely well. Because we typically don't think of as a white background as really a good choice for an arcade game, but these games here, it just really worked,
Yeah, and I know that's Nick Morendi's one of his main complaints about a lot of the games. He hates that white border when you're doing a black background on the screen.
Yeah.
Also, like Chet, or I think you had mentioned that the collision detection is a very large box around the player that extends past where he actually is.
Yeah.
And that was something else. I know Nick had mentioned that he wasn't a big fan of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, so there was definitely some rage quit moments there when you're trying to play a fair game and the freaking robot screws you before he even gets near you, It's like,
Oh no, even when you're playing an unfair game, that
yeah.
sucks.
Curse you, robot.
So yeah, as I mentioned, this is Canadian Retro Things. He's been featuring our Game of the Week on his show for the last few weeks. So
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ken, I
fantastic.
mean, he's had his main PCs that do his video capture from the real Coco's actually quit working, and for doing video capture, so he's actually having been play with VCC, which is why we see kind of the odd character set, not the full one
Mhm.
here on his video. Hopefully, he gets that running again because I know his videos on the real Coco actually looked a lot better.
Oh, here's the part you were talking about, Steve.
No, there was one where it's a lot closer. It was like on screen 2 or screen 3 on your first round where there's a gun and the gun's like an inch away from the mirror, so you've got like no time to squeeze between the shots. Yeah,
this one's actually pretty easy. You just wait until the shot bounces off the mirror and just goes back in. Then you just go up and shoot through that hole and blast the.
Yeah, here he must be pointing to the fact that you have those no shoot zones there with the colored floor.
And of course, the longer your shot goes, the more your radiation builds up even from shooting.
Yeah,
So,
which is a neat concept. I can't think of too many games that did that. Kind of managing the radiation with your shots.
Now, Nick Marotta, did you get any videos showing like people wrapping the game back to the beginning? Because I hear there's some extra things that show up when you wrap it.
No, I did not. These are the 3 videos that I received this week.
And how many ship parts are there total that you're supposed to get?
Chet, do you know?
It's like 3 or 4, I thought.
I think it's 4.
If you ask me, that sounds like a bunch of ship.
Yeah.
Shipload of
some horse ship. No, cool game though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it to a bit, and then I got frustrated. So, but I participated.
Much like this show.
This is not one I played back in the day. This is not one I played back in the day, so I would not have thought of it.
Yeah.
So thank you to Terry Stiggy, and Just Mike for suggesting this one. And yes, I do take suggestions. Just PM me, and I'll try to make a list of the games we've already done for those who joined the series later, and maybe a site that has some of the.
Yeah, I meant to do that. We talked about that. I should open up a blog post on the CoCoTALk page.
But anyway, I
post it as a blog. Yeah.
I love suggestions because I mean I have a list in my mind of the things I played, but I'm looking to discover new games as well. So this one turned out to be very popular. I was very very happy with that.
Erico said that once you flip the game, the timing for the enemy shooting gets smaller. I guess that must mean they shoot quicker. They don't pause as long before they start firing at you.
He also says I haven't seen anything different up to level 11 on a second run, so honestly, he's made it pretty far. I did discover like playing it on keyboard on an emulator for me was just a pain in the ass. I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to switch over to my real Coco and play on the joystick, but it was definitely easier with the joystick from what I remember back in the day.
So
can I suggest for the future the new math tutor?
We can all have a blast with the new math tutor.
I'll put that in the same block as Color Script Set.
Well, we've already done Color Script Set. We need Color Script Set 2.
Yes.
Well,
description.
Don't forget Profile.
We should do disc scripts at least. So. Cool.
All right. Oh, apparently it temporarily stuns them.
Oh, what? When you're invisible?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't remember what the audio was that went with this, but all right. So are we ready to move to the next game?
Yeah, I'd be really curious to know what the next game of next week is going to be there, Nick Marotta.
All right. So I tried to pick games that had some sort of because it's October. I tried to pick games that had some sort of I don't know if it's scary, but this week was Aliens. So next week is going to be a monster game.
Ooh, is it Fangman?
Monster Match.
Oh, Rampage.
That's right, Rampage. Coco 3. And obviously it's a an official port of the arcade game of the same name. And
darn good one.
And there's options you can pick up to 3 players. We're going to play 1 player, obviously, but you can change the which controller affects which player. So if you want to play as Lizzie, you should be able to go in here and assign it to a keyboard, to a joystick, unless you want to play keyboard, whatever. So that's our game of the week for next week. And
one of the things that Steve Bjork says is this game helped extend the life of the Coco 3 a little bit because they saw this one playing. They were trying to say how good the Tandy 1000 was, and they saw that this was the one playing. It's like, nope, that's the Coco version. And like,
Oh, yeah, this was definitely one of the best arcade conversions on the Coco 3 for sure.
This was one that Bodo Car John Schaller on the Amigos really hypes up as being a really good conversion of Rampage too.
Oh, good.
Between platforms.
What did Lizzie Borden do?
I always pulled this one out to show off my Coco 3. Just what can it do? Well, here, look at this.
Rampage.
This was the go-to.
All right, so thanks again for a fantastic turnout this week, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do with this game this week.
Very, very, very
Thank you,
cool.
Stevie.
Oh, cool, nice.
Thank you, Nick. I know you like this segment.
It's my favorite. I'm going to
the-
tune out now. Probably.
The high score challenge with Nick Marotta.
It's all about me, obviously.
Yes. Now, Brian.
What do you think
Weasler-
about me?
Brian Weasler has joined us. Hey, Brian.
Hello. Sorry, guys. I was late. Work before play, I guess. Priorities, but maybe the wrong priorities. But
Yes. Well, we did project updates and acquisitions at the top of the show, and you typically always get something every week. Is there anything you want to tell us about?
oh, geez, you guys are going to catch me off guard here. Didn't have my stuff together yet.
Okay. Well, we can run Game On News and give you time.
Yep, that'd be fine.
Wait, I got some stuff from his doorstop.
All right, so are we going to just roll into the Game On News then, and then which I think will hopefully include some update from Chet on his Digger 1?
Sure.
Game On
You want to
News.
run the intro or just go straight into it?
We're just going to go on into it. Curtis Boyle. David says that Josh is jacked for Rampage.
Oh, good. I think I heard a rumor that Mrs. Dave might play Rampage, so hopefully she might be encouraged to.
Is that Sharon from Dave and Sharon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
Sharon! All right, so.
Hey, so getting into Game On News here. The first one up, Jim Gary was a busy boy this week, like every other week. So the first one here is a new beta for an MC10 game called Decoy, which is based on a Dick Smith VZ200 original game. So you can read the instructions there on the screen. I'll just play it for a little
Zed.
bit. Of course, he's got that awesome MC10 music that I just can't
MC10?
duplicate. I don't know why, but
MC10 is a fantastic machine. It's incredible.
How many games have been ported from the MC10 to the Coco 3?
Ooh, look at that. That's
kind of
pretty
almost
cool.
looks like Sea Dragon, like a sub or something, though.
Yeah,
Technically a spaceship.
yeah.
But
Would that be none?
To the Coco 3? Well, some of the MC10 games do run on Coco 1 and 2, so they would run on a Coco 3.
actually, quite a few of them do, actually.
Yeah.
I think
So you have
there's
to
been
shoot it through the middle where the @ signs are?
I believe so.
Now, I wonder if he's poking those ats, because you can't print the inverted @ Maybe you can on the MC10.
I never thought of @ signs as being nasty.
They're a pain in the ats.
And you get stuff shooting at you from the bottom.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It definitely, because of that thing on the bottom, it does give you the sense of movement. You know, the simple scrolling of the floor.
Yeah. What it looks like to me is it looks like one of those games where things just come at you.
Okay, you can mute Jason's mic.
Womp, womp, womp.
Are those stars up above the sky? You know, it looks like there's the ground and then there's the sky.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. That's a nice way, because I mean, he didn't have the time, like running it in basic in particular, of having to draw mountains that actually are scrolling across the entire screen. So just having that cityscape thing on the bottom gives the illusion of it quite well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, no time for parallaxing within the interpreted basic code. What are you saying here, Curtis?
So does the MC10 have a separate region at the bottom that's handled separately, or is it just
Nope. It's just
one line?
That's the same way as a Coco.
I have a
Coco 1 and
feeling
2.
what he's doing there is because you can't print on that last space because the screen will scroll. So he's probably poking that number in, and he's dealing with a 31 character string that he's just using mid strings to wrap around to get that one character scroll on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shift register.
That sounds impressive, Steve.
Hey, listen. That's where it's at.
Slash whatever.
So I'm like the other guy of the group, Steve and Ron, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one that set you up.
You're the straight man, right?
Steve and Ron in the morning.
Hey, Steve and Ron in the morning. Hey, how's it going, crazy guys and gals?
So you're Ed McMahon?
How wonderful are you, Steve?
He's going to take it and run with it.
He's gonna
Hello?
take it.
Just need some
Yeah.
crazy sound effects. Woo!
All right, listen. We're trying to have a serious show here, guys. Come on, Curtis. Is,
Who said it to be this serious? What's this sort of shit, man? Come on.
Just remember, this show is where it's at. So.
That's it. Hey.
Starring C.V. Stonebridge.
All right, Curtis, as you were.
Okay, the next one up from Jim Gary here is Kingdom of Euphoria, which is a simulation game. This is ported by Jim from a book called The First Book of Tiny Basic Programs by Tom Pittman in 1981. So it's one of these, simulate you running a kingdom type thing. We've got other games on the Coco like this, like Erland and Viking 2 and Castle Greymoon and a bunch of others. But it's basically you're trying to, have your civilization expand and thrive type thing. Or you can starve them out and kill them off and you get plagues and all kinds of stuff. So it's a text-based simulation game. If you're into the Sim Life type stuff or Sim City, it's kind of a text version of that type of thing. So it's kind of cool that he got that one out too. This next one's a bit different. It's somewhat Coco related. The complete BBC Microgames archive page, which is what we're showing here with a filter, have published several Fallsoft adventure games. As you'll notice, it says self-published Fallsoft, and then by Fallsoft itself. Now, Fallsoft, of course, is the parent company that did Rainbow Magazine.
Yep.
So what these people did here on the BBC Micro is they took some of the old text adventure games done in Rainbow Magazine and actually ported them over to the BBC Micro.
Oh, neat.
So not too often you see a cross.
Oh,
like
are
that,
we
so.
honored or what? We're honored, right?
I think so.
Ronald.
I remember the one room one here, the one on the far left, by George Murr. Now, George Murr was a text adventure aficionado, par excellence type thing. He's the one who published ADV Maker in Rainbow in August of '82, which was actually the skeleton of a text adventure game with instructions of how to make your own based on that code. You basically just filled in arrays and some logic stuff, but basically the whole core of the game was there. And that's actually my Ring Quest game that got published in Rainbow a couple of years later was actually based on that engine, though I changed it a little bit to handle graphics. So I definitely like George Murr because I wouldn't have been able to do that game without his
cool
engine. So that's cool. Next up here, Paul Shoemaker has put up an updated video and a disk image download. Disk image download is showing here right now, showing updates to his isometric graphical adventure game that we kind of previewed last week. So that's where you can download the demo.
How about that good-looking banner up there?
That is a good-looking banner.
And it's modest author, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Almost
Steve,
as modest as
me
Nick
out,
wrote
Steve.
it.
Help me out, Steve.
He is. He's extremely modest.
It's my best quality.
He's as talented as he is good looking.
So this shows a new layout. So he's expanded. He's got some text, and he's got a text character set that's narrower than a single byte, so we can fit more text on the screen.
Okay.
And then, of course, he's got his isometric 3D view here.
I like
drawn
that
with some
font.
stuff. He's
Gygax.
even got like a shadow under your arrow.
I
to show
love the
where you-
party name. Have Frito the Bold, Stevie, Gygax, Eddie, Ripley, Paul.
Yeah. And of course, everybody knows who Gygax is, right?
Gary Gygax, creator of Dungeons and
creator of
Dragons. Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
Why is Paul the thief? We like Paul.
Yeah. Well, these are roles you can play in Dungeons and Dragons. You can play
Hey,
different
what's
character
with that?
classes.
Yeah. There's Paul right there now.
Or because he stole some of the names he used for the characters, so he's a thief.
Gee, thanks.
Oh, and I'm a cleric. I just realized that. I'm a cleric, huh? Hmm.
Yeah.
Clergy.
Yeah, Stevie the Healer, that just doesn't ring true to me. I don't know.
Clergy, yeah. That's
It's like
cool.
me being a priest.
Yeah, right.
I would think you more of a Dark Lord myself. But...
That's a conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
You're like me being normal.
I like the graphics.
Yeah, and here's actually further graphics he did, but these are borrowed from the not the advanced Dungeons and Dragons manuals, but the basic expert companion guide set.
Yeah, neat.
It's kind of the beginner's D&D, which is where I first started.
And
playing
that
it way back in
kobold's
the
got a little bit of a limp wrist thing going on there. Hey guys, don't go this way. Stay away. Something scary's over here.
What are you talking about?
You cannot pass or I'll bitch slap you. Yeah, type of thing.
Those are good. Those are really good scans. Coming out of those books. That looks
Absolutely.
really good.
Yeah, especially for just a 2-color P-Mode 4 screen. So
yeah.
This is actually kind of similar to the ones he did on his other dungeon game that he had to pull because the original artist. I would really like to see him still get that game redone. Like if Erico or somebody can actually redo the graphics so there's no copyright issues and actually re-release that game, I'd just love to see that. And actually, if you see on the right here in the comments, somebody actually kind of showed that same graphic, which had been ported to another machine in color.
Okay,
and you can see the similar differences there.
Yeah. But it's really cool that strictly monochrome, how good this looks, just black and white.
Yeah, it reminds me of the original Mac games because, I mean, they had a higher res 512 384, but it was all black and white too. And they did some pretty cool stuff on
Mac
there.
classic stuff, absolutely.
Yeah. And actually, this is one of the instances where, PAL-based Cocos or the Dragons, who on these modes did not get the artifacting colors, would actually get a better look to the game than we would. Because in artifacting, you'd have those blue and red fringes and yellows and purples and stuff. So.
Yeah, you can't do this dithering for shadow on a modern Coco or on a NTSC Coco. It just turns into
stripes of blue and red.
Yeah.
Well, unless you use an RGB monitor.
Yeah.
Well, you
By
turn
the way,
the color down.
I have a whole bunch of multi-view fonts that only work on RGB because I dithered 4 colors with little squares like this. And you put it on composite, it's horrible. There's no way to fix it.
Yeah, good job, Paul. Looks really good.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing this when it becomes available.
And this one will make a bit of a discussion topic here. Chad Edward put up this interesting post here on the 14th of a kind of a survey thing of what was your first game ever on a Coco? And this can be either the first game you ever played or the first game you ever purchased or both.
Okay.
And he's had 233 comments so far. So this has been a pretty active topic. So I thought we'd hit the panel here. And we can expand on this a bit. I mean, some people were, later on in the comments were going, well, the first one they bought from Radio Shack, because that's all they knew existed was, this game or first one they ever played. And then they'd start getting into third party. Like once people discovered Rainbow Magazine, Hot Cocoa, Color Computer Magazine, etc. Then all of a sudden, of course, the games library greatly expands. So what was your first one of those? So if you want to just go around the panel, Steve, and see, what everybody's experience was for the first game that they ever played or ever bought or both.
Yeah, let me find the panel since you have kind of.
Let me stop sharing.
No, that's fine. No. Doesn't matter. Okay, so how about I'll be selfish and I'll go first because I just happen to remember. I think the first game I got, period, was Caterpillar Attack on cassette because I just remember one of the guys that happened to be in the store at Radio Shack the day I was taking possession of my Coco after weeks and months of layaway, and I was getting it and I had the tape player. I remember buying Pyramid 2000 on tape, and this guy goes, oh, I got this game, and he made a copy of the cassette that had Caterpillar Attack from Tom Mixoff for the old low-res green screen one. So the first 2 games I remember owning were Pyramid on tape and Caterpillar Attack on tape. And I guess you'll be next on the list, L. Curtis Boyle.
Okay, well, I got a couple things I'll mention. The first games I ever bought, and I saved up for months to get these because the cartridges are expensive, but I got Skiing and Project Nebula, and that was just after I got my 16K upgrade. So this would have been probably early 82. So that was the first ones I ever bought at Radio Shack. The first one I ever played of a third party, somebody had come into Radio Shack, or one of our local ones here, and loaded Astro Blast by Mark Data Products and left it running on the machine. And the manager just let people come in and do stuff like that. He was pretty nice. Guy's name was Morris. But I'd never seen artifacted colors before. And I didn't even know the Coco could do it up until that point. I was, this is amazing type thing,
Yeah.
And I talked to Morris, and eventually he got the 2 of us because he knew who the other guy was, and we finally got us to meet. Now, the guy's name was Dick Powell, since passed away. But he was an older fellow that was like a hardware wizard. He was doing all his own upgrades and things like that. And eventually, because Morris got the 2 of us to meet, a couple weeks after I originally saw Astro Blast, we formed the Saskatoon Color Computer Club along with a couple of other people. So it was very, timely and poignant to me that that was the first third-party game, and it actually helped us create the club just based on that. So, and the first third-party one I ever bought was the first third-party game ever sold in our city, as far as I know, was Phantom Slayer, which is still one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah. And then in the live chat, Amigos Retro Gaming saying first game for me was Megabug. Ken Reichard says Jason took mine. Jim Rye says Clendathu on cassette, and turned out it required extended color basic, which I didn't have. And
How's that actually pronounced? Is it Clendathu? Clendathu? I don't know.
I call it Clendathu. I don't know if that's correct.
I'm not sure what syllable you should put the emphasis on there. Scott Cooper says Lancer was my first game on cassette. Brian
still
Joyce.
The best buzzer, or still the best Joe, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was your bad.
Temple of Ram, best game ever, according to Brian Joyce. Canadian Retro Things, Dungeons of Daggerith on cartridge and Clendathu on tape. I got them the same time as my computer. Stooges fan says one of my favorite games is Donkey King. Hey, Stooges fan. David O'Connor, you'd be next on the panel to say what your first Coco game you owned or played was.
Yeah, my the first game that I ever played was our Game On Challenge about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Wow!
Stellar
became
Lifeline?
my favorite game for Stellar Lifeline.
Oh wow!
So I've still got the cartridge of it somewhere. I'm not sure where I put it, but it is floating around here somewhere.
Well, Jason, what game did you steal from Ken?
Well, I didn't steal it from him, but interestingly, I think he means I stole the answer in Facebook there. I guess I got it because, of course, we had to share a Coco too, and it was Bust Out. We had, I believe, it came with a bundle. I even still have the cartridge, the ROM pack. I have it right here, but it's I think it was a bundle. I think it was like a 16K Coco 2 melted keyboard. So this is like Christmas of '84, so we got it a little later than most of the people probably on the panel here. But we had a couple of Black Beauty joysticks and a 16K Coco 2 and a cassette recorder. And I think after that, eventually we got Project Nebula, and I don't remember exactly how that came about. And then a lot of the things we had were a lot of the type-ins from Rainbow.
Tim
I do remember the TDP 100 bundled Bust Out too, with joysticks actually as a bundle too. So that was a popular one for bundles.
Tim Linder says Math Bingo was his first one. AC's 8-Bit Zone says Popcorn. It came with his Coco 1. Mark Bosley.
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
You get a demerit mark for that.
They say memory is the first thing to go, and what was the second one? Nick Marotta.
I cannot remember what it was called. It's not. I looked for it in Curtis's site and I cannot find it. It was some sort of a space shooter, very similar in concept to like Galaxians, but I remember the aliens were kind of roundish or something, and I cannot remember what it was called. It was one of the first games I remember playing.
That was the roundish aliens attack game. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
Exactly.
Good game. Yeah.
It was third party or was it?
Yeah. I think the formations were somewhat. There were like 3 or 4 different formations that go in, and one of them might have been, or the round I'm thinking of might have been the formation. Like they appeared like as a couple of circles of aliens. And I can't remember what it's called though.
I'm trying to think what that would be. I'm like, there's a ton of Galaxian clones.
Yeah,
There's Glaxons and Glax Attacks, Galactic Attack.
I thought it was called Gazon.
Space Hawk.
That was a totally different game. That wasn't what the game I was thinking of.
No, the Gazon was what that Cobalt thing was doing with the dangling wrist there a little while ago. So it's
So yeah, I just cannot remember what it was called.
I'm gazing upon you.
There's a Galaxon and Galaxon.
Glaxoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other ones there could be there, because I don't have all the Galaxian clones on my site yet. There's a few I know that are missing, but I'm trying to think of ones with circular aliens or circular.
I think it was the formation that was circular. Like there's like 3 or 4 different formations that come in.
Did we have a Gyrus clone on the Coco?
Refresh me what Gyrus is?
Gyrus is where the aliens are spinning around the planet in the middle, where there is a circular formation where
like star castles type of thing, or
no. Gyrus had like a planet in the middle of the screen, and
there was like 3 warps to Uranus, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure how many to get to Uranus, but mine has got there's a considerable.
It was like 3 warps.
There is a considerable barrier to entry.
If I saw a screenshot of it,
I think you're working your way towards Earth. Or say 3 warps.
You can turn off the show now.
Yes.
I think that's your new item album title, isn't it?
It's a planet. What do you want me to do? Ask Ron, he'll tell you.
That's why astronomers pronounce it Uranus, not Uranus.
That's not even better.
Okay.
Anyway,
so we did hear from Nick Marotta. Nick says it's a game that was roundy, alien-y type game. Good.
Obviously, it really stuck out to him because he remembers it so clearly.
Alan Murphy.
So, my first Coco was just color basic, and I had no cassette or ROM packs or anything like that. But a guy named David All published a book of basic programs in the late 70s, and I had a copy of that from a library. So my first games were those that came out of that basic games book. And I'd have to type them in each time, and I'd leave my computer on as much as possible. And my dad would get torqued off at how much electricity I was wasting, that $1 a year or whatever the Coco uses. So he'd come in and turn it off all the time, and I had to turn it back on, type in the program again the next time. The first commercial or available games that I got was for my birthday when it came out. I got Zaxxon on tape along with a cassette. And then shortly after that, I got Dungeons of Daggerath and Never Look Back.
Yay.
I forgot to mention, actually, the type in, like I had the same situation. I didn't get a cassette deck for about 6 to 8 months, I think, after I got my original 4K Coco. So I was doing it a lot of the basic manual.
Yeah.
And the blackjack game in the manual actually was not bad for 4K.
Yeah, and the one where the guy, you made the face and the eyes blinked and stuff like that. That was kind of cool.
Or Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Bang, you're dead.
Yeah, that would actually probably be it for me then, too. Getting started with color basic.
Yeah, that's probably my first stuff, too. Although I did.
That's mine on there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Alan. And then next we have Nick Marentes. What was your first Coco gaming experience?
I don't know if I actually ever bought a game or anything from Tandy. I think the first cartridge I bought from Tandy was the Edtasm ROM pack. And I started programming.
That one.
That's a game, yeah. Well, yeah, you could call it that, but that was the first thing I bought. I think I did buy some third-party software from some local supplier, but I can't remember. It was a Tom Mix game of some sort, but I don't know which one it was. When I got to Coco 3, though, the first game I did buy was Thexter.
Much to your disappointment, right?
It was when I got to the top end level and found it didn't end.
Yeah. So in the live chat, we had Tim Linder said Math Bingo was his. Ken Record says I bought Project Nebula with birthday money. I think Jim Rye says Galactic Attack. Michael Pitsley, after getting bored of Bust Out, I got a new game called Madness in the Minotaur. With these games, I almost never wanted to play games on the Coco again. Yeah, those are the two worst possible games, right? Demon Attack was AC's 8-bit zone. Demon Attack. I bought Madness 2 and regretted it. Galax Attack from Amigos. Brokeback Coco from Scott Cooper. Brokeback Coco. Okay.
I think that's a joke answer.
Yes, somewhere in there. Yes. All right. And Ken, did you include Donut Dilemma? Okay, so I was asking about that. All right. So then we did Nick Marentes. Rick Euland.
Well, I didn't buy games for a long time. I finally bought Downland, and to give you an indication of my gaming skills, I still haven't finished it. But
welcome to the club.
Yeah, Tony Jacques says Double Back. Yeah, Double Back I had on. Yeah, it wasn't the first thing I had, but one of my most favorite ones, memorable ones. Yeah. Ron Delvaux.
Yes, well, actually, my first Coco would have been a MC10, and the pinball game is the first game I got.
Oh, Lost Valley.
Yeah. Yeah,
or Lost World, or whatever.
That would be the first one, but the actual one on the color computer was. I typed it. I had my first Coco was a Coco 1 with a multi-pack and a TV and a disk drive, and I had stuff, but I actually typed one in, and that was the one that you guys were talking about, the kaleidoscope one, or the it's on there. I got it. If you scroll. I put it on there. It was right from the book.
Okay. Was it the talking robot face or?
Nope.
There was
the one kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
Or
yeah, I remember there was another one.
I think I remember that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of did the
scroll. If you scroll down enough, I have an answer on there.
Okay. And there was another one in the basic book I remember that was using mid strings to shift stuff, and it made it look like traffic jams were going across.
Yeah, William Volk in the chat on Facebook says the one I wrote, Voyager 1, which is Travel on Hill.
That's funny.
There it is.
There it is. A game from the book. Blackjack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's the one I remember typing in because that was the one I left the machine on for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Who else have we not talked to yet? We have not talked to Brian Weasler.
I'm kind of in the same boat where I don't exactly remember the first game that I had. Actually, with my experience with the Coco was, if you want to call it a ROM pack, would be this guy here.
What is that?
The old 300 baud DC modem there. So that was the first thing I ever bought once I got my Coco and plugged it in and started hitting BBSs rather than playing any games. So I was more of a utility guy, but I really don't remember the first game that I got. So, but
Frodo says Lunar Rover Patrol was his. Good game. Yeah. That was
Brian.
And
Stooges fan mentions Draconian too.
Yeah. Good game. Who else did we not hear from? We heard Ricky Lynn Rondeau. Chet Simpson.
Oh, well, let's see. The first game that I played on a Coco would have been Color Cube, and that was on Radio Shack. That was actually on an old, that would have been, maybe a D-board. It was a gray case Coco. The first games that I got was, I got Zaxxon, Daggerath, and Marathon, because the salesman at Radio Shack gave me a cassette with that on it. Because he'd already typed it in, and I was like, awesome. So I got to play that game, and that's why I said that game is great. I love that. For being in a magazine, that was a really good game. In fact, I spent more time playing that than the other two at first, and then I got caught on to Daggerath, and that was great. I just got lost into that.
Very cool. We got Nick Marentes, Mark Overholzer, if you're not muted, and if not, then it would be Paul T. Barton. So, and then I think that's the panel. Paul Barton, do you remember playing any Coco games? And what your first?
Oh
one
yeah,
was?
my first Coco was given to me. I think it was a 1, and we converted it to. That was when I worked at Tektronix, Tech Labs, and we converted it to 64K. I had to cut up everything on it. But I think the first cartridge I bought was Galactic Attack, and I hated that game. And then I found a game in Rainbow magazine called Trap'em, TREP''EM. You had to type in all the hex code.
Oh, wow.
And it was basically, you had a little spider that walked around and you boxed it in until it couldn't move. And I have yet to find that game again. I'd like to have that one back.
Ah, neat. Cool. And then I'm
Could
not
be
sure
one of the Rainbow on discs if it's from Rainbow.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I don't know if is Mark Overholzer still here? We did. I'm not sure if Mark is muted, if he's on the road. But yeah, no, that's it. That's a pretty good discussion. Looks like it's got a lot of meat on it here on Facebook as people were chiming in. Chris Neary says Ed Tasm. That was Nick Marentes' answer too, right? So
yeah, there's been a few of those actually.
Yeah. Cool.
King Tut there's another one. I remember playing one, but no, that was.
Yeah, I ended up getting a handful of the cartridges, but the tapes were cheaper, right? So the tape was like $14 to buy the tape, and the cartridges were like $30-$40. So
where you play that while you listen to Steve Martin.
Did anybody actually say forget gone Metal Blade, sorry.
No one said that.
I'll come back.
Oh. All right. Cool. Good question. Good question posted by Chad Edward, one of Nick Marentes' neighbors in Australia.
Yep. Discussion's still going on too. There's been additions to the commentary on Facebook on that subject. Even today, it's still going on. So feel free to contribute on the quote unquote official list.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody say Color Scripts It? That's what
Color Scripts It. Yes.
They did.
Yeah.
Not anybody who's still sane, which even covers Mikey then. So
yeah,
that's right.
All right, what's next? Game On News, L. Curtis Boyle.
All right, next up, Carl Doherty actually had a pretty cool thing here going too. He posted about getting the Birkenberg port of Cyrus Chess, which is pictured here, which is on EOU if you want to fiddle around with it there too as well, which is a Coco 3 Eyes version of the Cyrus Chess program. But he decided to put it up
is up with that
against one of those
battery?
electronic chess boards and actually had them play each other.
Okay.
And Cyrus Chess beat it pretty handedly, from what I understand, at least on the first round. And there you can kind of see the two facing off.
So
And
you
he
put you put a quarter in the battery every time you lose.
He's got a battery bank there. Right. So.
And then somebody mentioned the mouse pad.
Yeah, the Radio Shack mouse pad looks pretty good with the old.
Yeah, and the original color mouse, the one button.
I'm sorry, Curtis. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, I know. You always do that. But the one interesting thing is he's suggesting that maybe the next time we actually have a Coco Fest or something is maybe getting some of the several different programs, because there's a bazillion chess programs for the Coco, and actually pit them against each other and see.
There was one a couple years ago. I think one of the guys from Glenside had a model
3 or something.
Model 3 going against Color Chess or something like that. So
yeah, I do know the original chess cartridge is not very smart. Cyrus is better, but there's other ones like SG Chess and Cyrus and a few others too. There's multiple ones there. It'd be interesting to see which one plays the best and which one's the most competitive, and also which one doesn't take like 15 minutes to make a single move type thing. So
yeah,
wasn't there was there somebody that had put two Cocos against each other, chess to chess or something like that? I'm trying to remember. Or am I thinking of a different
like the same program, or just two different?
Yeah, I thought there was somebody did something one time where they somehow rigged up something to get them playing against each other or something. Or am I thinking of a different game?
There might have been. That kind of sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay. That thought popped in my head.
Michael Pitsley in the chat is mentioning he has done this test: Cypress versus Cart Chess, and even the N64 chess. Michael, just post which one won, and was it handedly or barely or?
Okay, Frodo's saying you should try Cyrus Chess on the Coco versus Cyrus Chess on the Specky.
Yeah, they were programmed by the same company, so that would be an interesting thing to see. I mean, if the algorithm's exactly the same, it should be pretty close to a draw, I'd imagine. But
here's a Can Make It game here, huh?
Yeah, Ken actually posted up a video. I must have been all my whining about the fact his itch.io doesn't have any screenshots. He's fixed that. There's screenshots of the actual game in play now. Now he's even starting to do videos. So
he's got to do something to placate the whiny Canadians that are out there.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, put up videos, eh?
Eh?
So anyway, who has not seen this game, I might as well give you a quick preview. So
Interplan. Does this have? Oh, look at this.
Available.
Ah, so kind of like a snaky type thing, snake game where you have to.
Yep, you have to avoid the stars and the planet, I think, as well, and try to collect all the trash, which is the squares.
Okay. Ken says anything for Lord Curtis Boyle.
Well, at least he's addressing me by my proper titles, so
that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Look at that.
Anyway, Ken's got a ton of his old games now up in itch.io. They're all on the shareware, bagware type of thing.
Yeah, and they're also available if you were to get the Nightmare Highway Coco Fest edition as bonus material.
Alleged bonus.
Alleged bonus. Yeah.
Actually, has some pretty cool things there. The one I had not seen before that I remember seeing in 6-8 Micros, World of 6-8 Micros, which was kind of the successor to Rainbow by Frank Swaggart, is he did a version of the parachute jump program from the old Atari video game where you actually jump and you have to wind and stuff. You have to try to land on a small landing pad and you have to wait to the last minute to throw your chute and stuff there. So
from the mind of Ken Reichert.
And there's just a sample of one of his pages, in this case, the same game here of itch.io, name your own price.
Screenshot and video, which is Curtis Boyle approved at this point. So.
Yep. This is a proper ad for a game now, so I'm glad he finally listened to reason. And I was going to mention before he did this, you want to see a properly done one, look at Chet's version of Digger 3 there, because he's got videos and screenshots and a whole bunch of things there. But Ken's catching up. So.
All right, listen.
But he's got a ton. I think he's got like over half a dozen games on there already now.
You're a difficult man to please, Curtis.
Yep, I am.
All right. What do we got? Simon Jonason.
Oh, just kidding. Yeah, Simon did another update. This is for the upcoming game he's working on using hardware scrolling. So in this case, he's actually got some of the vertical movement, and he kind of goes into the technical details here that he's using a virtual horizontal enabled screen. So it's taking 56K just for the screen. So you have to swap out stuff to get your shapes and get the code running and stuff too. So kind of getting into the technical explanations here. Now I'm going to try full screening this. Let me know if this works, because half the time Facebook breaks when I do this.
Okay,
Are you still seeing it?
We see it, but it's not moving.
Yep.
Hit the play button now, see if it'll play.
It's playing.
No, it's not playing for us now. The guy looks like he's got a purple afro. But no, it's not playing.
I hate Facebook. Is it playing now?
Yeah, it's playing now. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
No collision detection, obviously.
Yeah. But it is scrolling.
Soon to be coming, though, I'll bet.
Yep. And then, like Simon's mentioned many times, he's never actually fully done a game before, so this is kind of new territory for him. He's done demos, showing off, different techniques, etc. But writing a game is a whole different kettle of fish. I think, Chet, you even commented on that when you're planning to write a game, you have to take a different mindset than you would for just a demo, including like when do you start doing optimizations? Well, you don't do them right off the start here unless it's absolutely necessary to get the game to even work.
Yeah, it could be critical, especially if you're not, kind of familiar with the landscape that you're working in. You're working with something that requires a little bit more of a dynamic approach to it, because you've got multiple characters. You've got to be able to process them, and you don't want to do things like duplicate code, because that stuff will make it grow. So when you get into that territory and you get and you're not sure which direction you may be going, 2 weeks from now, it's it's pretty important to get that stuff kind of locked down.
Yeah. A lot of pre-design work, basically, on how the engine has to work.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hear all the time, people mention like graph paper and stuff. That all comes down to the planning, where you've got an idea of where you want to go. You just got to kind of figure out how you want to get there, and you don't necessarily have to plan like everything out in a great amount of detail, but having at least a few checkpoints to say, I want to have movement done by here, I've got these things, so it gets you kind of thinking about what you might have to deal with in the future, because you're starting with point A and you want to get to point B, and there's all kinds of things that are going to get in your way along that journey. So it's pretty important to know where you're going.
Yeah. And since Chet's actively involved in the chat here, we'll do his next. So there's a couple pages here, because you initially said you were starting to try to reverse engineer all your old code that you'd lost, which included Digger 1, Image Master, etc. And then you started working on, then you discovered that, and I've seen this in even commercial stuff that was sold too, where EdTasm would leave parts of the source code had processed in its buffer when people saved it out to disk or tape. Chunks of the little bits of the original source code were still in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you found that in Digger 1 using, I think it was Circomp's EdTasm 3 you used?
Yeah, and actually it was kind of a combination between EdTasm 3 and the way that I was building the image on disk, because this particular version is missing the sounds. So the area in memory that this would have, resided in the sounds, I never updated the image maker to account for that. So it just wrote out all of the, entirety of memory from, hex 1000 to hex 7000. So when those sounds were out, so what happens is when I go through and I built the image, I build it in EdTasm 3 from Circomp, do a reset, and then run the program and do it. Well, the start of the buffer, the text buffer for EdTasm 3 was within that region of memory. So and there was a significant amount of source code in there, a few K worth. And so I was able to get a really good starting point from that. I mean, it had all the labels for global variables. It had some a fair chunk for handling the player movement. Of course, there was a lot that was missing in between that because.
All right, yay! Okay, sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
That's all right, man.
So are you working on Image Master next, Chet, or do you have a list of programs you're trying to do this with? Or
the only three that I'm really concerned with is getting Image Master and Studio 29, getting those two disassembled. I really don't care too much about the rest of the stuff that I worked with, but those were kind of part of a trio package, because there was those in the game board editor which were all used, and I'd like to recover the source code for that. And the good thing though is that the code from Digger actually contains code from both of those games. Not a whole lot, but a small part. And then there's some common functionality that was in there, and then there's actually so much carried forward into Digger 3. So I've actually got a way to detect those different signatures in the disassemblies. So I'll actually have somewhat of a starting point for some functionality, and then there's There's others I'll just have to actually struggle through. I'm sure I don't imagine either one of those is going to go nearly as quickly as Digger 1 did, because I'm not going to have that that base to go on. I'm going to have to figure everything else out. Knowing what the variables were, and being able to associate those was real critical to the disassembly, because it made it a lot quicker.
Yeah, I was surprised at how fast you got it done, even with the source code in there. So
yeah, and the info file is like 1,200 lines or 1,100 lines long, so it's pretty detailed in breaking all of that stuff down. So I'm going to include that along with a couple of the different things. So next I've got because I can build an identical image. I haven't run it yet. I mean, obviously if it's identical, I don't need to, but I want to change the origin and do some tests so that just to kind of make sure that just a few bytes to make sure that everything is still working and all that. That's going to be the last test to that.
Okay, cool. Look forward to seeing the source code for that up there for people to
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, I wrote the thing in like 3 weeks. This started as just a new editor for Gold Runner on the CoCo 2, because I'd taken it and changed it over to a four color CoCo 3 display and selected the palettes on it. So I just wanted a new editor for it. And then I ended up writing the game, and so yeah, it's really terrible. I mean, there's stuff in there that I would never do. It was, I mean, there's areas where you can tell it's like, oh, yep, copy paste from here to there to there to there. Just changed a couple of things, and that was it. I mean, it was just pure laziness. That's how I got the source code back, was just pure laziness. So yay for that.
So it pays to be lazy is the lesson we're learning here.
That is it. That is true. That is true. I'm gonna have to call my dad tomorrow and let him know.
Next up, Erico's been a busy boy this week too. So we got a lively discussion going here on Facebook. He's been running a basic program for that he wants to self-modify the code. Now, originally, some people were suggesting, and Nick Marota, I think you were involved in the discussion here too on this, of wanting not just to have variables changing, but actually have the code change. So if you go to a different level, there's different logic. And he's been trying to figure out, now you can do a merge, which will actually merge code together. So you can actually have it overwrite lines you already have in your existing program. But unfortunately, it trashes the variables when you do that. I'd never had a chance to really fully catch up on the discussion to see if that's been resolved in some way. I believe I've heard that the Dragon actually has a chain command that actually will keep your variables intact and it change to the next program. So you can actually write a program that's bigger than BASIC would normally fit. BASIC 9 has that option as well, because you can unlink and link modules in. So you can have a BASIC 9 subroutine module for each level, for example, and just unlink the level you've completed and link the new one in. So you can write a basic game that's 512K literally of levels and stuff. But Nick Marota, do you remember? Has this actually been kind of resolved? Like, I know you were involved with some of the merge stuff.
Yeah, I just mentioned a merge because I knew that, because he asked if there was a way to bring in code from load or C load, but I don't think they've resolved the.
Yeah, I think Color Basic doesn't really support that. The minute you try to do a load, it's wiped out.
I was thinking there might be some pokes you can do to kind of fool BASIC to letting stuff sit. I know some people were suggesting like you use the cassette buffer, because if you're running a disk-based game, there's a 256 byte buffer there that BASIC doesn't use except for cassettes. You could like store some of your variables and stuff there, like poke them in and then peek them back out once you load the new level, or run the next program in, so you can keep it, or you can save it to a disk file and come back in type thing. I didn't know if there's any pokes though to actually fool BASIC into just letting it keep all the variables and just continue running as if nothing happened. Oh, apparently it's still active. Somebody's typing in a comment right now. Next one up from Erico. He's also posted some semi-graphics design work here that he's been doing with Jim Gary for the Aliens game, and he's got some further updates in the comments. So here he's doing some of his, his typical artwork for the semi-graphics 4 mode on his Photoshop graph paper. And then here he's working on the 3D view thing. Now there's a Jim Gary update to this immediately following. Actually, Jim has actually made the base engine running on the MC10 already in the CoCo, that we can actually see what it kind of looks like in its rough.
Of course he has.
Rough post. Yeah. I'm sure he's doing another one even as we speak. Maybe he was the one typing the comment there earlier. I'm not sure. So here's another little update on some of the graphics he was doing. And this will make more sense once we show the update from Jim here, which I'll segue to right now. So you got the map on the left. The upper right corner has got this first player's 3D perspective view.
Okay.
And this is the one they're planning on being a multiplayer game. So you have the other parts on the right will also be other players. Up to 6 was the original plan, if the speed can be kept up.
It's going down a hallway. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see on the.
You can see where the turn's coming up. Yeah.
The one thing I liked about this, most of the 3D engines back from the early days were all wireframe. Like basically everything was a hallway.
Yeah.
And this one actually allows larger rooms and a bit of perspective to see that, which I don't think we saw in the Coco really until I think Complete Triad did it in 7th Link, where you can have the rooms wider. And then, of course, stuff like Gatecrasher can do that too. So it's a pretty cool instrument. If you can actually get it running with all 6 players on a network type thing using DriveWire, that'd be awesome.
That is cool.
But considering Erico just started discussing it this week and Jim's already got a demo running, a couple days later type thing, I'm jealous I don't get projects done that fast. Next up, this was Simon WGB, who does a lot of retro streams of all kinds of machines. And,
he joined Discord now, right?
Yeah. I was going to mention that I actually finally caught him on one of his live streams doing the Dragon 32 here, and he does these on Twitch, and they usually last like 2 to 4 hours. And he actually plays the game for like at least half an hour to an hour. He doesn't just slap games together every 15 seconds type thing. So you get a bit of detailed gameplay. And I actually caught him on chat this time. So we were chatting back and forth in text chat while he was playing. I gave him a couple suggestions. He actually played Shock Trooper for a bit because I mentioned that was the game on challenge this week. He didn't submit his score, unfortunately, but it is at the end of the video here. But once he finishes the Twitch stream, a couple days later, he usually uploads it to YouTube. So any of those that aren't on Twitch, you can watch it on there. So, and I'll just play a couple seconds here of the first game he played just before I joined him, which was Cuthbert Goes Walkabout, which was a UK title based on Amadar from the arcade.
Ah.
Which is another one with background music. I'd forgotten about this one. Actually has background music while you're playing.
So you have to fill in the boxes, right?
Yeah. Sort of like kicks type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can jump, too, which is kind of cool, because you can run towards the monster and literally jump over them as long as they don't turn around on you.
Oh, yeah, like that.
Yeah, and then if you get far enough, it changes to the white screen as an alternate color set as you get further in the level.
This is Nick Marenti's favorite color set here.
Yeah.
The Puyan palette.
Special, I call it.
Yeah. Now you can't do a big region. You have to do every square individually.
Yeah.
Okay. If not, I guess if not, you could just do the whole outside of the border and color in the whole screen. That'd be a little bit of a hack. So
yeah.
Interesting.
They did Tea Time, which is another UK unique one.
That looks cool. I don't remember seeing this one. It's got the artifact couleurs in it. Oh, are you catching?
Yeah,
are
you're
these like
catching
sugar lumps?
cubes, I think it's called.
Sugar lumps, huh?
And you have to pour them into the cup there, and then you had later ones where you have to dodge stuff. Then you have a little bit of a platform where you have to pick up things.
That's cool.
And different things come out after you as you advance levels too. As the
that's a biscuit probably, because teas and biscuits, right? Teas and crumpets. So we have a little biscuit to go with our tea.
Sure.
Could be.
Where's Little Miss Muffet?
Little Miss Muffet.
And this is one of the later levels here where you have to go across the platforms and the elevators to collect those little piles.
Is there a straw for that pile? Cool looking game. Neat.
Yeah, it was one of the cheap ones too. This is one of those ones they sold for like £3 or something like that.
Yeah, the $5 tape deal or something. Yeah.
Which actually for that cheap of a game was a pretty good quality one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then he played Danger Ranger, which is one of my favorites from back in the day too. And Shock Trooper and a few others. But anyway, it's he's actually joined our Discord now. I mentioned that we should try to get him on the show because he's somebody who grew up with the Dragon 32 back in the day, so he's playing a lot of the games he played as a kid. That was his first computer.
Cool.
He no longer has his original Dragon 32, so now he's using XOR to play all this stuff.
Okay.
But since there's been new developments on Dragon games, some from Nick and just stuff that he hasn't, Simon hasn't seen, being out of it for years, that we'll try to get him to try some of these other things too, and some of the Coco ports that have made it back to the Dragon instead of the other way around. So I'm hoping we'll get him on the show at some point here, but he does these streams like almost literally every day. He does some sort of retro game stream.
That's cool.
And this one here, we've covered the Super Ladderman / Ladderman 2 by Richard Kelly. He's been doing multiple betas. We've covered a few of them on the show here. He's actually officially got the official 1.00 release out now. I've played this actually a fair bit to just try it. It's actually, for a basic game, it's quite good. There's dozens of different screens here, and he's got some screenshots here because you basically have to go through and collect things in certain order.
Quite good is twice as good as quite good. So there's good, there's quite good, and then there's quite good.
And then after that, there's good, which is really good in Canadian, anyway.
It looks good. I like all the level designs.
Yeah, and he's even got some like cool animation tricks where he has like the player falling in front of objects, but the object still shows through, or behind objects type of thing. And there's some little animations like when you solve a level, the guy gets a little propeller head cap going and he starts flying up to the next screen. So it's got a lot of finesse and polish for a basic game, and it looks quite good. Plays in the Coco 1 and 2. So. And that is the end of the Game On news for this week.
Woo-hoo. All right. Before we take a commercial break, Brian Weasler, have you had time to get your ducks in a row for your project updates for the week?
Yes, I did get my ducks in a row. First thing I wanted to show here was kind of a box of stuff that I got. Curtis had mentioned this last week on his news segments there with Christian. I'm not sure exactly how his last name is pronounced, Cremo. He had an auction there of like 13 games that he was selling on YouTube that Curtis had mentioned. And actually, he did quite well on that one. He got $96 or $97, I think, for those 13 games that Curtis had mentioned last week. But him and I have been chatting for quite a while now, and he actually showed some stuff to me that maybe I might be interested in. So I ended up buying some stuff from him directly. And with the stuff that I bought, he also had some extras that he kind of threw in with it that I was very pleased with. But the things that I did buy from him, I'll just kind of pull some of them out here. And again, just like on the YouTube one, he had all the
When
original
you're saying
manuals.
YouTube, you mean eBay or something, right?
eBay. I'm sorry if I keep saying YouTube.
Yeah.
eBay. I'm sorry. You'd think I would know eBay versus YouTube. I would think that.
Not a lot of people sell things on YouTube, but
yeah. But here's
eBay, YouTube.
Here's this game here. Gantlet there.
Gantlet.
Yep. And the disc with that one there. So that was nice. Also
I
here.
want to crack it.
I want to crack it. Here's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Ooh.
And the manual with that one there.
Don't panic.
42.
I also got here.
That wasn't for the Coco, was it? The Hitchhiker's Guide?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That was the Coco version.
Yep.
Is
This
that
was
the
the
Invisiclues? Is that what those games did? Invisiclues? Or
sure.
am I
This one
thinking
is
of
this is
another?
a.
Is that where you had to
It's
put
from
the red film over it or something?
Yeah,
this
usually the Infocom games had some sort of a hint.
There were sometimes
some of them
had
did.
they had
Some
like
did.
these little kind of props that came with it that had clues where you could hold like the clear red film over something because they were hidden in the print and stuff like that.
Yeah, my Sea Stalker has that.
Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide also came with a microscopic space fleet. It was a little tiny plastic bag with a like you would get a bagged game in, but it was only about 1 or 2 inches square, and it said microscopic space fleet on the little hanger, and you could look as much as you wanted, but it was kind of like they sold you an empty bag as a prop,
as a
and it
gag.
worked.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember the microscopic space fleet was actually accidentally swallowed by a small dog when it tried to invade Earth. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't include the remains of that microscopic space fleet in the bag instead.
Uh-huh.
Did you use a microscope?
A microscopic one.
Okay, I didn't know that game was on the Coco, the Hitchhiker's Guide. That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of the
there's
Infocom games were.
Yeah.
Wishbringer and a few others.
Yeah, Sea Stalker, Witchbringer, Hitchhikers. This is all 3 Zorks, of the original Zorks anyway.
So can
Sorry,
you just
Brian.
No, that's fine. And then I also got a Sundog game here, Quest for Zelda.
Nice.
Yeah, guess what? That's a clone of.
I want to crack it.
Zelda. For
Also
those
in
with
the
a
group,
lisp.
Zelda.
Quest for Zelda, everybody.
Zelda.
also got the Coco Max 3 from Colorware there. along with 4 discs of fonts for it as well. So
Wow.
there's four different fonts discs that came with it. So I bought that from him.
Ron DeVille's quite familiar with that program.
I have those.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
And then also the Coco Max 3, the manual that goes with it.
Nice.
Now, so in a little insert there. Also got here Tandy, got Cave Walker.
Ah, Cave Walker.
Kind of the unofficial Downland sequel.
And Seamus.
Seamus, nice. Good game. Curtis patched that for the Coco 3, and George has been forever grateful for that. He reminds me every Coco Fest. You know, Curtis
reminds me
patched
too.
Seamus.
Since the 80s, he's reminded me of that.
In case any publishing needs here, I also picked up Home Publisher.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Good program.
Hours of fun.
That's just to render one screen the hours of fun.
Right, hours to watch that screen.
And
That's just to boot it.
Flight Sim 1.
Flight Sim 1, got that one. Also, Pitfall 2.
Nice.
The best supporters of the speech sound pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pitfall 2, Fall Harder.
Yep.
And then also Sub Battle Simulator.
Oh.
Got that one.
Man, this
And
is quite the load.
Yeah. And then from what I just learned here, Nick Morenti's favorite game here on cassette.
Puyan. Yes.
It is a good game. I like the game. It's just a bad choice of colors.
You play it on the Coco VGA. You can change it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
I
go.
played it on Coco 3.
And then also, this was just kind of an educational one, though. It's just it's called Taxi. It's a kids learning game, but
yeah, by Children's Workshop.
Children's Workshop, was it? And then some of the extras that he threw in here.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. he had this laying around. It's just the box insert.
Okay,
so
cool.
For
Dexter.
So yep. And then also an empty box of
Shanghai.
Shanghai there.
Ooh.
So he threw that in there.
Get Rick Adams to autograph that.
And well, actually, it's buried. I already have that one, but yes, I'll have to. One of the things I did also buy from him though, because it was such great shape though. So it was the deluxe joystick. This one looks like it's practically brand new.
Is that a single button or a double button one?
Double. Yeah, this one should be the double. It's the B. Yep, the double button there. So at the B end, in case you're not sure how to use it.
Nice.
The operation manual
Owner's
there.
manual. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Actually, to be honest, you did need that for how to switch between free flow to center back, because if you didn't push it to a corner, it didn't work properly. So.
Oh, okay. To get it done.
Right, you could actually break the stupid thing.
Yeah.
And then he had this one laying around here, just another joystick.
Okay,
Though it's missing some feet, and it's also
Okay.
missing the screws, so it's going to need a little TLC.
Okay.
So got that, and he also threw in a color disc system, the programming manual.
Okay.
For that one there, and it has that spiral bound, which I
Nice.
really.
You don't see that all the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And this one here, it's kind of neat to thumb through it. It was this Radio Shack supplement software catalog. So it has all the different games and.
That also had all the third-party stuff too, didn't it?
Or
is that the express order I'm thinking of? Because they were selling like VIP Writer and Telewriter and third-party software through one of their.
As I'm thumbing through here, everything looks very candy. But this has software in it, everything from the color or the micro color computer, the pocket computer, the Model 1, 3, and 4. So it covered a range of systems there.
Neat.
Yeah, because if you go to the Coco section there, if it has stuff like VIP and Telewriter and some other things there, then that's the one where you can actually order. Unfortunately, Radio Shack never really told people this existed, so you had to kind of know about it first.
Now look at all the utilities here. Color computer, Telewriter. Nope, I don't see any. Everything looks
so
very.
it must be the express
Yep.
order I'm thinking of then.
Yep. And then he also threw a Tempest in here.
Tetris.
Yep, Tetris. Yep, I meant. And the thing that I was most excited about, because this has been on my book want list, he didn't even know I wanted it. He just had it, and it's Kids to Kids on
the
color
color
computer.
Cool.
So it's a color computer game, Kids on Kids, or Kids to Kids there. And it's just a series of little basic games on learning how to program in BASIC, basically. but for the color. So I've had this one here for a while. I've been wanting this one for a while, I should say.
That's cool. I've never actually seen that one.
Yeah, I've had this on my list for probably about 6 months and doing searches all the time, and never pops up anywhere. And this thing's like in perfect shape.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks good.
Here's the sad thing about it is that at one time, whenever this sale was, I'm not sure if this is the date or not, but at KB Toys, you could buy 2 for $1. So this poor thing sold for 50 cents back in the day.
Wow.
So, just 2 other quick things that I'd like to share. The guy who's active on our Facebook quite a bit there, Michael Petzley, him and I have been kind of trading cartridges back and forth. He's been looking for some, I've been looking for some, and he's had some that I've been looking for, but he asked me if I'd be interested in this little guy here.
That's the
Zipster's Mini.
Mini MPI.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep,
have.
he had bought it and he really wasn't using it as much as he thought, and he knew I wanted one, so he sold me his along with the charger there. So I was very happy to get this, because this, at least Ed hasn't had any of these on his webpage for quite a while as being available. So
Score.
Yeah, I think I got the last one that was up in the last batch.
Oh, did you? Okay. So I was excited to get that. And then the last thing I'd like to show is this disc controller here by J&M Systems. I believe it came with JDOS in it.
Yep. Is that the one with the parallel port or the plain one?
No, I don't know parallel on this one here, but yeah, that would be nice to find that.
I got one with a switcher and 2 ROMs.
Oh, okay, so you can switch between either one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yours probably has a parallel port too. Then Ron, that was their second version, which had
it could be.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it in a while.
Had a little double header connector on the side. You could use it to run a parallel printer or SASE hard drive interface too.
Oh, okay, nice. I'll have to keep an eye out and see if those pop up. And then I did snag 2 manuals. I went and did a search there, and there was a JDOS and a disc manual for it that I was able to find. So, yeah.
Now, do you know if yours has the memory minder program built in? Because some of the JDOSs had the built-in for disk calibration. It was actually had a special disk.
Mine has.
You got with it to actually calibrate the heads and stuff on the drive.
Would that be the software, or would there be something that'd be built?
It's a combination of both. It's a disk that's specially formatted. Plus, it actually had the ROM, the JDOS ROM. If you got the later version of it, would actually have this memory minder program built into it.
Oh, okay.
Did the testing.
I mean, I've plugged this in and I've hooked it up to a disk drive, and that's all I've really done with it so far. I don't know how I would determine that. Maybe it's something that just
it was mentioned in the manual, and I think it had to be JDOS. I'm trying to remember now. 1.2 or higher, I think, had memory minder. Can't remember off the top of my head, but
okay. Well, I'll do some digging and maybe follow up.
Yeah, because if you can find one of those memory minder disks there, you can use that to align any double density drive for basically any system that uses hard sectored with the timing holes. So you could repair drives for PCs and CoCos and everything else. It was quite a good package.
I'll have to look for that. That sounds very interesting.
Cool stuff.
That's all I got. Thanks, Stevie.
That was.
I like your rack of CoCos in the back there.
Oh, yeah, I get those up there. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody who's wondering why CoCo 3 prices are so expensive on eBay now, Brian's the reason.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's very interesting. Sep Tandy really did a shot in the arm there on eBay with CoCo sales. I mean, you could just see prices. I mean, CoCo 2s that would normally be going for like $50 or $60 now, people are asking $100, $110, $120 for. I think the Sep Tandy really flamed the fire of interest for the color computer. So I think it's a good thing. But
it's good and bad both at the same time,
right,
I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was just very interesting to kind of watch the prices over the past month or two just steadily climb up. So that's good.
Well, it's not good for somebody trying to get one
Well,
now. But
that's like Curtis was saying, it's kind of good and bad. Yeah, I mean, the good is the interest in the Tandy, and I mean, I guess maybe as a side spin here before we go into the news, have our numbers on like the Facebook page members, has that been steadily climbing too since Sep Tandy? I guess I was kind of curious about that. Like the number of people.
I know in Discord it has. We've had some people just because of Sep Tandy have joined. Some of them in chat earlier today too. And I think Facebook has had the same thing. Like we've had an increase of people that have learned about it. And for people that are interested in the software of the color computer, I mean, they can use the emulators, and quite a few of them, I think, like Frodo, he's running his on a Mister here. They're happy just being able to try out some of this CoCo stuff they never got to try out back in the day. But for others who are trying to get the actual hardware, it's the double-edged sword.
Yeah.
The Facebook Color Computer Group has 3,200 members.
Okay, so that's growing. I haven't been tracking those numbers, but that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if Ed Snyder has this on his website right now, but he was working on that Coco 2 clone, based on all new parts, using all the original parts in a small form factor. That might be an option, and I think that's already got a, composite mod built in. It's got 64K, the whole 9 yards.
I don't know is he selling that yet, Stevie? Or
I'm not sure. I just remember seeing the pictures of it, but I mean that would be something I would be interested. I mean, I've got real Cocos, but I would kind of be interested in a nice compact Coco 2 clone that's just got all new chips and stuff, and you just plug it in and it goes.
What could we offer a guy that has everything so he'd come on the show?
Who you talking about, Ed Snyder?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he has need for nothing. I mean,
nothing has worked yet.
Yeah, and it's not like he needs us to promote his stuff. All you gotta do is mention Ed Snyder made whatever.
If you're watching this, Ed, please, Ed.
He doesn't need us to promote his products. So he does a good job on his own there.
He does sometimes pipe up and chat here once in a while. I think we've had him on audio once, didn't we?
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't remember, to be honest with you. So,
although to speak to Steve's comment about the Coco 2, wouldn't a Gimme X just need a very small daughter board to become an entire Coco 3 by itself?
I kind of think that's where it's going.
The plan is eventually Gary Becker and Ed are planning on making a full Coco 3, and the Gimme X is part of that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, I mean, if you can
explain what you're saying, I don't get it.
All right, so he has a Coco 2 clone right now, right? You're familiar with that one, right? And when the Gimme X is done and it works, if you've already cloned the Coco 2 and now you've cloned the Gimme, all you got to do is put those two things together. Now you've got a Coco 3 clone.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I think that's the next leap. He's making keyboards, he's making Gimme replacements, he's making memory. He's already made a Coco 2 that works. You put all those pieces together, I think it will maybe be a year or two away where there will be a Coco 3 clone.
Both Gary and Ed have mentioned that is the ultimate goal.
You can see the writing on the wall. That's where that's going.
Well, you know what would be great for a lot of people that use the Dragon is to have a Dragon with a Gimme.
Oh, okay. So like a compatible.
So you're basically a Coco 3 upgrade for the Dragon.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that have Dragons, aren't there, especially in England?
That'd be a little bit more complicated, not much, but a little bit more complicated. Like, for example, the PIAs for the keyboards are wired differently. So if you expanded a Dragon to be a Coco 3 keyboard software, unless you rewrote it or patched some of it, wouldn't work properly. It'd be the wrong keys. So there's a little bit of a difference you'd have to worry about if you want to be able to run both library sets.
How hard is that for Ed Snyder?
Well,
he's probably done it in his sleep. But
yeah, no, I think the Coco 3 clone with the new keyboard and the Gimme X and all this kind of stuff. That now when you add all that stuff up, you're probably going to be looking at $300 or $400. So it's not going to be any cheaper than buying one on eBay.
Well, by the time it comes out, it might be.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But would it be cool to have a brand new modern Coco 3 with all the bells and whistles? 8 megabytes of RAM and 3 megahertz speed and VGA output, stereo sound. I'll probably put in one of his sound chips in it and all kinds of other crap.
He might even merge his Mega Mini in there and have 2 high-speed serial ports.
God forbid a real-time clock. So I know that's just crazy talk at this point, but yeah. Maybe Paul Barton can throw in a couple of multicolored wires in there. You never know. So
yeah, CoCoTALK closes their show because everything that's needed on the Coco 4
has been done.
Yep. No one's gonna say, what about a real-time clock? What about a real-time? They'll already be there.
Yeah, then we'll just become Game On Challenge every week, and that's it.
Yeah. So cool. All right, so we finished Game On news. So how about we'll take a commercial break and then we'll come back with regular news. Michael Furman's favorite part of the show, Snoozy Newsy.
Yeah, I hope he has his pillow ready.
All right, how about a little bit of Fletcher for us as we take our commercial break?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Fletcher, I don't need that report tomorrow.
Great, JT.
I need it tonight. But JT...
Fletcher saved $300 on her office away from the office. Radio Shack's revolutionary Model 100 computer. It's a word processor, phone directory, and dialer. It even communicates with the office computer.
Fletcher, how's that report? Fletcher.
Radio Shack's Model 100. Save $300 and put it to work.
You'll go far, Fletcher. You'll go far.
And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. On holidays, Uncle JT would entertain us with stories of his business conquests and his assistant who would meet any deadline that he imposed, no matter how ridiculous. Well, until she shot him in the face, that is.
Hi, this is the award-winning Alan Huffman of Subetha Software, and you're watching Stevie Fall Off Cliffs.
What's going on, guys? Stevie Stroh here, and I want to say thank you so much for being part of this adventure with us. It's been such a great experience in doing CoCoTALK every week, and the support we get is just amazing. And so the fact that you watch and listen is all the reward that we need. However, if you would like to become a patron of the show and offer some financial assistance towards the production and hosting costs of the show, we do have a Patreon site available for that, and you can reach that by going to our website at CoCoTalk.live and clicking on the Patreon link. But just do us a favor and watch and listen to the show.
Hey there, I'm Marco Roser, and you're watching CoCoTALK. This is not the Joey cereal switch. This is the Joey cereal switch. Control up to 3 cereal devices. Order yours today at cocoman.biz.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
Right! This Christmas, Tandy has a very special offer. A family color computer pack to take away at a very special price. This family computer comes complete with software and costs an incredible $449, a saving of $241.69. It's powerful, educational, and ideal for the young and young at heart. The easy way to start computing. The Color Computer Family Pack from Tandy. Get it while it's hot. Tandy, the biggest electronic store in Australia.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tim. Playing Dagger like that idiot from the book. You're watching CoCoTALK.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash. All right, we are back with Michael Furman's favorite part of the show, Snoozy Newsy.
Actually, the first part here is actually an update on the game news here, because that was sent by Mike Pitsley. Actually, I mentioned the chess versus other chess programs here.
Okay.
And he mentioned he already posted a link with all this kind of comparing things here. So he actually has this little chart he did on Facebook here back in September, which I didn't realize.
Cyprus wins in 8 minutes, 21 moves.
And I should probably give you guys the link to share that too, shouldn't I? Since it's not actually officially part of the news. So let me just throw that in quick.
You gonna put that in the Zoom chat?
I can put it right in the.
I put it in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
There you go.
So looks like Cyprus is the winner most of the time, huh? Cyprus. Okay. N64. Cyrus. Okay.
I'm assuming the 1 versus 1, 3 versus 1. That must be the skill levels or something. And if there's 8 levels of difficulty in the original chess cartridge, and I think there's 5 or whatever in the Cyrus one. So, and then he played it versus the Nintendo 64 chess, which N64 won most of them, but Cyrus actually won one of them, which to me was a bit of a surprise.
Okay, Ron Delvota said he got a blue
3.5
screen.
hours.
I think a lot of it has to do with how many levels the program has been written to calculate ahead. So I mean, if it's only calculating 8 moves versus 20 moves ahead, so depending on how many different combinations it can pre-calculate, would probably determine. I was watching a YouTube video on it, and they were talking about programming of this, And that recent competition with what is it, that IBM computer? What is it called? What's the one that beat
Watson or whatever?
Watson or something like that, where it beat the Russian or whatever. Yeah, they were talking about how many the depth of moves that it's able to calculate really determines how playable the game is.
So Cyrus wins at 3 hours and 30 minutes versus it lost at 45 minutes. So it took a lot more time.
And that was also the only one of those 4 comparisons where Cyrus got to move first. So once, if the Nintendo was playing first, it always won. Won a gathering there.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting to see that, to see especially how some of the programs back in
And
the
it
day,
says
like
N64. That's not the Nintendo 64. That's the Commodore 64. Because all these.
I don't know, Michael. If he's still in the
N64.
chat, please clarify that because I'm not sure myself.
I'm gonna hope he's talking about the C64, because if you played it against the Nintendo 64, which came out in the late '90s, that wouldn't necessarily be a fair challenge, right? So,
yeah, and the fact that Cyrus actually did beat it once would be pretty impressive, to be honest. I was thinking it's the N60 Nintendo 64.
Okay, all right, maybe. All right, well,
that'd be pretty impressive if it even managed to beat it in one game. So
okay,
they'd all beat me because I suck at chess. So no, Nintendo 64 officially
Okay.
confirmed by Michael.
All right, there we go. There you go. All right.
Cool. So now we would just want to see the full 3.5-hour video, and we'll just stream it live.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to regular news. I just wanted to fill that in. Okay, so I don't know if 8-Bit Show and Tell is still in the chat or not after the YouTube stream restarted there, but he
Composite
did
mod, huh?
part 2 of his collection of Easter eggs for Septandy. So we're still getting a few trail ends of Septandy here in mid-October. So this one has the typical, CLS with an illegal value. And this is in case for the MC10.
Okay.
So that one we kind of knew about. And then there's also the hidden one. You have to print the character string peaks there, which is a little thing that Bill Gates put in specific because Commodore had stolen the ROMs once. So he put in this hidden thing to catch it. And then he goes into the Coco. Let's see here. That's still Coco 2. That's basically the same as the Coco 1.
That is a clean keyboard.
Now, wait a minute. Commodore did not steal the ROMs. Jack Tramiel just was not going to pay a royalty on every Commodore machine sold, so he did a one-time payment. And after he did the one-time payment, Bill Gates realized he had not put a Microsoft banner anywhere in the code that had been licensed perpetually by Commodore. So when Commodore came back later to get patches, he snuck it in as an Easter egg then. You can get that on the page table site. But yeah,
but I'm
Commodore
trying to
did
remember.
not
Like
steal the
it wasn't Commodore specifically. It was some other company, although that did copy the ROMs. I shouldn't have said Commodore. That was my mistake. But somebody actually did copy the ROMs, and they did catch them using that hidden string. It was a port of Microsoft Basic.
Apple had one in their Mac that was the same way. And that actually showed up in a court case where Steve Jobs actually typed in one thing and showed that it was actually Apple code.
Yeah, because I remember reading, and I wish I could find the original article. Unfortunately, I didn't research it before the show, but there was another, it was a fairly obscure computer that had copied the ROMs literally. And they
and I
caught
just
them using
put
that
the correction out there before suddenly hordes of C64 and 128 and Amiga folks showed up with pitchforks and things.
Because they watch our show
Yeah.
pretty regularly.
Well, yeah, and they've already been gathering just because of all the other stuff. But let's not push them over the edge here.
Yeah, no, that is correct. I worded that wrong. I was thinking, Commodore's where the story came out that was in there, but there was another company that had, I can't remember, even South American or European company or something that had literally stolen the ROMs, but it wasn't Commodore. You're right. Then on the Coco 3, and he kind of goes through his Coco 3 a little bit here. Come on, YouTube, don't do this. Oh, you're going to give me an ad. Thanks. In French yet. There you go.
Yeah, you say YouTube don't do this, and YouTube goes, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. So the Coco 3 had some extra Easter eggs thrown in, like there's the Microware Systems Corp one, which is, I think, is if you're only on your 40 or 80 column screen, it shows up instead of Microsoft. So it was little Microware's little blurb in there. But there's also a special one that not everybody I think does know about.
CLS 9.
And that's if when you first boot it up and you do one of these CLSs, then you get a different starting message than Microware Systems Corp. So we can find that one here.
Yeah, you get the programmer names.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
I will mention in OS 9 level 2, the original OS 9 level 2, they have a repeat last command option in the shell, which you hit Control A, and built into the sequential file manager, the SCF file manager, they actually had 3 names, and these are 2 of them that actually did the programming for OS 9 level 2. So that would show up until you typed something for the first time. And we did that in Nitrous 9. We actually changed it to have like Wes Gale, myself, and Bill Noble as ours to show up. And since then, since we released it to the public and then Boise and the rest of them took it over, I think they just have a link to the nitrous9.org website is what's your default keyboard thing. But you can actually set that. There's a system call we'd added back in. So if you want your program to default, if somebody hits a shift right arrow to immediately fill in a certain phrase or sequence, you can actually tell it whatever phrase you want. So you can kind of customize it yourself. So that was part of his Septandy. So he goes through the MC10, the Coco 2, the Coco 3, and some of these little hidden things. Of course, he goes through the Control Alt Reset one, which is probably the most famous one of all, where it's an entire P Mode 4 graphic.
The Muggeteers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next up, Sheldon McDonald here. We showed him last week doing the PSG player. And this is an update here where he now has percussion enabled. So I'll play a little bit of that.
You have your sound turned up? Are you sharing sound too?
I thought I was, but maybe not. I'll stop sharing and just reshare just in case.
Okay.
Oh, no, I didn't have it on. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Copyright strikes already, so
yep.
Yeah. No, but that is cool. That sounds very chiptune-y, very Nintendo-y. And the percussion
Yeah, I like
really
the fact that you just load it in and it immediately starts taking over the new song without even stopping. You know,
yeah.
So that's cool that you got the percussion, like the drum sounds and stuff in there too. So next up, AC's 8-Bit Zone, and he was in chat earlier. Hopefully he stayed on while the stream stopped and started there, thanks to YouTube, etc. But if you remember, we went through his Coco collection because he brought out 5 Cocos he had in storage for 20 years. And his second oldest Coco 2 had the space bar missing. It was just completely gone. So he 3D printed one here, and he's actually goes through in quite technical detail the measurements and trying to get the molds exactly right. And the hardest part for him actually wasn't the 3D printing itself. It was to get that little balancing bar, like on the space bar, there's a little metal rod that balances out. So if you hit it on the right-hand side or the left-hand side away from where the center part actually goes in to make the contact, it would actually get stuck without that bar there. It would just kind of stick down and it would screw up. So he goes in and he takes like a coat hanger wire and he snips the coat hanger. He tries to measure the bends at the exact right places and stuff. And he does this a few times. And his printer is also actually got different color plastic. So the one he's holding in his hand here, this darker gray one, is actually the color he ends up using. But he goes through, with a pair of vice grips and it's just, playing around with it and trying to get the bar at the right thing here and punching the holes in. And the first time it doesn't quite fit. It's really close. It looks visually like it's fine. But then when you try to put it in, it actually doesn't work. So he goes through it a few times here. He's comparing the original one on the top to the 3D printed one he did in the bottom here. But he eventually gets it to work. And that's what it looks like with that, slightly off-colored darker gray. And he was originally thinking, well, maybe I should get the proper color plastic. But then he said, actually, you got kind of used to it. And it's not too far off the original gray from the original Coco 1 case.
The space bar is kind of its own thing,
Yeah.
So...
And it's a bit more of a bluish gray than the original Coco 1, but he kind of likes the fact that it has almost a retro look to the original, an homage to the original Coco 1. So he decided, no, I'm keeping it.
Kind of a throwback color there. Yeah, absolutely.
You can have the comparison.
Yeah, no, that is really cool.
So is the file available? I could use a couple of space.
He was talking on the YouTube channel that he is planning on uploading it. I don't know if he has yet. I haven't checked, but he was planning on uploading, so you could put it on your own 3D printer and do it too.
Now, wouldn't that be a cool name for a drinking establishment with a sci-fi theme? It's called the Space Bar. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You can get your Pan Galactic Gargle Blaster.
Right.
The restaurant at the end of the universe. It's
right.
So
It was a cool project. I haven't seen anybody like 3D print a specific key before, and then have especially the space bar, which has this wiring thing you have to worry about on top of it. It's not just a pop-in replacement. So
They need to print a CM8 door.
So what was Paul trying to show us?
Paul Barton was. I was just commenting on the multicolored wires on the Coco 4, and Paul Barton had a whole spool of like rainbow colored wire coming up, like a rainbow ribbon.
Yeah, I just bought a roll of 40 wide, IDE type cable.
Okay.
And it's got.
There's your colored wire.
You got one, all the colors under the rainbow right there on one spool.
Most of them.
it's almost a rainbow bridge. Anyway.
Yeah.
Next up, Keith, whose YouTube channel is Chibiakumas. I'm not sure if that's pronounced right, but he's been doing various, CPU segments on different CPUs and different systems, and how to access the hardware, how to program in the same language for all of them. He's been doing, the Vectrix. He's been doing Nintendos. He's been doing the Genesis, and he's been doing the Dragon and the Coco. So this is chapter 8, and he's actually talking about doing sound on the Coco and how to manipulate that. And of course, we know we don't have an actual sound chip, and he mentioned that too. But he does mention, the Dragon Coco wasn't the worst of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
There were some other machines that only had 1 bit, like the Apple II and the original Spec-E and stuff. And that gives you like no volume control really, and some other things. So he said, as far as it goes, for one that doesn't have a sound chip, this was actually one of the better ones because you had 64 levels of volume. You could do digitization fairly decently on it. So, he just kind of goes through and explains all that. And this is part of his ultimate goal. He's making games for all these various systems. And then doing all these assembly tutorials. Now, he does mention near the end of this particular video that he is going to be covering the Coco 3 specifically in a future episode once he completes the Coco 1, 2 Dragon stuff. And that's good because we haven't had very many. We've had, there's multiple tutorials, there's multiple books on the Coco 1 and 2 assembly language over the years. Steve Bjork's that he did with us here, for example. But there's not too much as Coco 3 specifically. How do you use the MMU? How do you use the gimme registers and all this other kind of stuff? So I'm looking forward to that. And for people that have been asking a lot of questions, we've seen that on Facebook and in Discord both. How do you do Coco 3 specific program? I think Dave 609's actually been asking questions on that just recently. He's been doing some demos on there. So it'd be nice to have a video reference people can just pull off YouTube and learn that stuff, in the future. So I'm looking forward to see. And he's very knowledgeable. I mean, he knows all these CPUs quite well. So he knows some of the tips and tricks and other things. So it'll be interesting to see what he says about the Coco 3 hardware.
Cool.
Next up, this is a cool one too. Not somebody I've heard of before. Dennis Bisson has made a RAM test thing that plugs into the Color Basic ROM on a Coco 1 or 2. So it's a little AK chip thing. But this one doesn't even need RAM to run. It runs completely off the ROM included here and the CPU registers itself to test your RAM. So if you have any amount of bad RAM, like sometimes a RAM test program, if it happens to be, loading over top bad RAM, of course it won't run, so you can't tell what the problem is. So in this case here, he's got this here that you plug into the ROM, and even if you have, you can pull out 7 of the 8 chips, and it'll still test that 1 RAM chip for you. And it actually reports the stuff out on a serial ports at 600 bauds. You hook it up to a PC terminal or a separate terminal, or even another Coco with a terminal program running at 600 baud, and it'll actually read out the stuff to you on the screen, which I thought's a really cool idea here because it'll actually help you identify, individual RAMs that are blown when the standard RAM test program might die trying to even load. So that was pretty innovative. And he's got a little bit of a demo video here. And I just froze it on this first thing here because he's I believe he's French, and he has his nice little warnings here. Somebody with an accent trying to speak in English is repugnant to you. I suggest you stop watching this video.
If any footage taken by an amateur cameraman makes you queasy, I suggest you stop with hearing someone improvising on a topic without having a specific plan. Makes you discussive reply. I suggest you stop. Wow.
Oh, he's seen our show.
We need this at the beginning of our show now, right? So yeah.
It's one of the best intros I've ever seen. It's great stuff.
You are still here. Let's go.
So anyway, definitely watch the video. The video is actually like 20 minutes long, so I won't play the whole thing here, but I'll fast forward to, he actually goes through the source code here too, explaining how it all works. And all the things you have to do when you have no RAM, you have to like unroll stuff. Like you can't put a loop, you can't throw something on the stack. You have no stack. Stack's based on RAM. So he goes into all the details of how you exactly had to program to get around all this stuff here. Then he goes into the wiring diagrams and how the switches work, etc. And here is some of the actual testing, jumping out to a serial port he's got on his PC, reading it. And this is the actual text it outputs over the serial port from that ROM. I'm just going to find one here.
Right there's a nice little wall of text right here coming up.
So here it's actually showing the more detailed testing. And it actually detects what the ROM jumpers are. Like if you have a 16K jumper, the 32K jumper, etc. And then you can actually see it's writing to the RAM here. You're just doing a bit of a demo on that. I'll just play a little clip from right here.
DRAM on, for example, the bit, the one that is working for the bit D1. Okay, here we have U14, which is D0, D1, D2, and so on up to D7. So, for example, I have removed the bit on the RAM responsible for the bit D1. I clear the log, and now I turn it on. So see,
and now you see that bit 1 is always bad because there's no RAM there.
Address to another.
So this will actually identify to the chip specifically which chip is giving you a problem.
Here,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pattern, we see that we have one bit that is incorrect, which is the one before the last one, which is really D1, because you know here the bit are represent from 7 to.
And he actually shows a little bit of the video too, where he actually had a bad RAM chip. The RAM was mostly working, but it would just screw up on certain addresses and stuff like that. So it'll even help you detect that. I mean, it still means you have to replace the whole chip.
So an intermittent chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, the intermittent issues are more difficult to.
So how do we get one of these?
I'd probably just contact him on YouTube. Actually,
was it on Facebook? Was it posted on? I think I saw this on Facebook.
It might have been Facebook too. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, it's on Facebook too.
Okay.
So it's in the Coco group on Facebook, and he's also got the YouTube channel here.
Yeah.
I believe the links have been posted for both. So.
Yeah, no, that is really cool.
And just to show you here, like here he's removed all the RAM.
A Coco with absolutely 0 RAM memory.
His English is fine to me.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not repulsive.
Still power on and still run the program. And right now we have many bits that are incorrect.
And these are doing all the individual, like, can you write all the bits on and off?
It looks like that when the RAM are not there, what we read back is always FF. Okay, all the bit at 1, which is a little bit logical.
Yeah, you can see the address, the write, what you've written to that address, and what it reads back. So in this case, you're writing various files, and it's only reading FF back every time. So
we have,
and that's what the screen boots up like if you are on a Coco with no RAM.
To FF, so all the screen is around.
So yeah, I mean, for the hardware tinkerers out there that want to do RAM checks for people, this is an excellent little bit of hardware because it requires no running RAM to run, which is unique.
What type of serial connection is on the thing? Is it like a DB9, DE9, whatever it's called?
I think he's just got like raw wiring come off, and then you can hook it up to a DB9, DB25, whatever you.
Okay.
You need.
Three pins, plus, minus, and ground. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really cool.
Does this have a real-time clock by any chance?
It does do a proper walking bit test, so you would see 2 linked bits Xing out and things like that, which is cool. I like it.
And for you hardware tinkers like Paul and Rick and some of the others here, have you guys ever seen a RAM test like this where you don't actually need any functioning RAM whatsoever for it to run?
What's he using the stack?
No, there's no stack because there's no RAM to put.
It looks like YouTube died.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Frodo just said, "Oops."
Okay. Well, the show is still going, but so much for the new internet.
I wonder if this will work on a Coco 3.
No, that is interesting. Would it work on a Coco 3? Because the RAM.
I think the ROM would have to be modified because you'd have to access the MMU stuff.
Right.
The
socket's
can only
different.
access 64K.
Well, the socket's different too.
Oh, right. Well, there's no socket. It's soldered right on. Oh, Explore VR says it froze. Now it's back again.
Yeah.
Maybe a local outage in your area, Stevie. That's not.
I don't know.
OBS related or something. Because we haven't dropped here as far as.
That Zoom did pause on me for a second.
Oh, it did for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that is a really cool utility, though. Absolutely.
Yeah. And for people wanting hardware debug like older Coco 1s and 2s,
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent, thing in your toolkit.
Yeah, well, I'm in the process of doing exactly that right now with the newest Coco one that I showed off last week. RAM issues and stuff like that. So.
Yep.
This is interesting.
Next up, Darren Atkinson, the person that designed the Coco SDC and the MCX 128 and a bunch of other things here, has actually got another MC10 thing here coming up called the MCX 32SD. Now, this is in prototyping at the moment, but he's expecting to have it on sale through Ed Snyder, of course, because Ed doesn't have enough projects to produce by the end of this year. So this is actually 32K of static RAM, and it'll work with the Alice or the MC10. It has 120K of flash RAM, 16K or 16 banks of 8K each, and an SD card socket, which is interfaced to the AT Omega controller here. It also includes a new version of MCX Basic, version 3. So the MCX Basic, for those who are not familiar with it, adds a bunch of the extended basic commands and stuff and brings an MC10 almost up on par with the extended basic on a Coco 1 or 2. But this also now has support for P mode 3 and 4 because there is an internal modification you can do on the MC10 and the Alice to actually fix the problem where right now only the internal 4K of RAM can be used for video. So people were upgrading to 8K of internal RAM and then rewiring a couple things to fix it so that VDG could actually access the whole thing. And this version of MCX Basic supports that. The old one didn't. So now you can actually use P mode 3 and 4, not just P mode 0 through 2. It also has the MC server stuff built into the basic as well for accessing the SD card and for DriveWire. So you can do all that stuff as well, too. So this has got some new features that the original MCX 128 does not have.
Well, the MCX 128 did have MC on there.
Yeah, although it didn't have SD cards, so they'll support those.
Yeah, no.
Right?
So this is kind of a hybrid. The thing that what I am hoping, because I like this, but I already have the MCX 128. It would be nice if they could patch MCX Basic for the MCX 128 so it can use the P mode 3 and 4 too.
I believe he mentioned somewhere on the page that he is doing that.
Okay, that would be nice, just so I wouldn't have to buy a new thing. Not that I'm planning on doing a lot of P mode 3 and 4 programming on the MC10, I have a product I've purchased. If he's got a better basic, it would be nice that it was retrofitted to the other product too.
Yeah.
So
now, one nice thing he does on here on the SD card reader, and he doesn't even need to do this on the SDCs, it supports limited long file name support up to 39 ASCII characters, and we still have the 8.3 on the SDC.
Yeah.
So that'd be a nice feature. And then file types recognized, it'll handle ASCII text. You can just load a basic ASCII test program.
Doesn't even have to be on disk.
Exactly. Emulates the C10 emulator files or raw WAV audio for loading in cassettes.
Okay.
Machine language supports Coco binary, the cassette and the WAV versions as well. Basic array files, which is more unique to the MC10's basic for saving arrays, can be a C10 emulator file or a WAV.
Basic
and you can load it in P mode graphics screen as raw data too, without having to be on a disk image or a cassette
that's
image.
cool.
There's what it looks like with the case.
Yeah, no, it's cool. This is basically the MC10 SDC, is what this boils down to. Which is a cool product.
And then also because if you have that modification internally in the hardware with the 8K RAM upgrade, then it also fixes the the VDG so you can access the whole thing. You can even page flip like 3K screens now too. Which you couldn't do
I'm
before.
wondering what this is going to sell for, because I might, as little as I'm ever going to use my MC10, I might just want to have this just to have it. Something I absolutely don't need and will hardly ever use, but I probably still got to have it.
Right there with you, Stevie. Sign me up now.
I do have two working MC10s, so I can have my MCX 128 on one and this on the other. So,
well, you gotta have something for your Jim Gary collection.
Yes.
Take my money.
Take my money. Yeah, because at this point now, you just go to Jim Gary's website, download everything, put it on the SD card, pop it up, and MC10 away till your heart's content, right?
Nice, yes.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see if Jim gets one of these, because he's been doing a lot of MCX basic stuff, like his Akelabeth board, but he's been limited to P mode 2 and under.
Right. Right.
And this way he can actually start writing stuff for the higher res graphics modes.
This is almost like the Gimme X for the MC10. You know what I mean? It's just is adding so much freaking unimaginable capabilities.
Yeah, it adds extended basic. It adds SD card support. It adds drive wire support. Extra custom ROMs. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Paul Barton's got to go.
Real-time clock.
Take care, Paul.
Oh,
that is neat. That is.
I was actually going to bring up his board here. I could skip it ahead, but is he already left or?
Paul Barton?
Yeah.
He says he's got to take a break. I'm not sure if he's coming back or not. Okay.
I have a question about the MC10.
Yes.
Okay.
Did the MC10 ever get called the Myco in the US?
Myco?
Because that's what it used to be called here in Australia.
Rainbow Magazine did have a little nickname for it. What the heck was it?
The Mini Coco or something?
Pico or
Pico?
Myco was one of those.
Yeah. Myco, because it's when it boots up, it says Micro Color Basic, doesn't it?
Micro Color Basic?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So Myco, it was called here, it was often called the Myco.
But that's definitely an Australian style nickname.
Yeah.
And
Rainbow did try to stick a nickname on it in the early days, like in late 83. But I can't remember what exactly they called it. Unless, Mike, do you remember what they called it?
No.
I'll have to dig out an old Rainbow to take a look.
But
anyways, it's good to see new hardware coming off the MC10 and more expanded capability.
It's just interesting that it only what's the amount of RAM? So this doesn't do the 128K like the MCX 128 did, right?
It has 32K of static RAM, so you get a 32K MC10 out of it. And then 128K flash includes the basic MCX Basic 3, but it has extra room for extra things if you want to add stuff later in the future too. And it's flashable. So
okay, so that's kind of like the Coco SDC has the different banks too.
Yeah.
Okay, so 30...
Now I do know, was it Darren that made or was it Ed that made there was an MC10 add-on that also had joystick ports.
Yeah, that was kind of like the PSG for the MC10, whereas a memory expansion had a sound card and Atari joystick adapters.
Because one thing they really need to do here is make an all-in-one that has that, because that's one critical piece from the Coco world that's not on the MC10. And if you get the joystick adapters they currently have, then you don't get SD card readers and all this other stuff added. They kind of need to make a central one at some point. But this is a pretty good upgrade on its own.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
We need a multi-pack for the MC10.
Yeah.
Still won't have
16
for David Ladd.
slot MPI.
Put a real-time clock in it so I guess for the Coco.
Yeah.
That would just be rubbing salt in the wound.
And that's another thing they're also working on. They're working on an MC11, which is kind of like an MC10 clone plus, an upgraded version of the MC10. So
I think we need one of these for the Coco, but with Optane RAM, so it just insta-boots.
Anyway, Ed is going to be making the 3D printed enclosure himself, and that's a sample showing up here on the screen. He's also going to be manufacturing and selling the product, and it's expected to be out before the end of the year.
Cool. Just in time for the holiday season. Kids, ask Santa.
Another stuff for sale here. We got Jim Brain of Retro Innovations, who for once is not trolling us. So, of course, I'm going to feature his product when he's not here to smartass it. And I believe, Chet, you were the one that kind of instigated this, getting the clone of the original Symphony 12, which he's calling the Philharmonic 12. And this one here, he's got the bare board itself. You have to get your own chips and populate it yourself there, but it's only $6 for the board. And this was, of course, a combination of 4 sound chips. So you got 3 voices and 1 percussion channel per chip. So that gives you 12 voices and 4 percussion channels or noise channels. And we had some software. I think Lyra supported the Symphony 12, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, it had its own software as well.
Yeah, there was support in Lyra, but nobody can seem to find a version that has that in it.
Yeah, because I think the archive one doesn't have that particular. There's a little driver it had to load.
Right.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm going to be ordering a couple of these and putting them together. I've got some code for it around here. You have to communicate with the chips through a PIA, so it's pretty easy, and it works really good. So.
Have you actually done some full 12 voice music out of it type thing, or?
No, I only use one channel. I couldn't find any BGMs that I could use for that as part of the conversion tool that I did. But as soon as I find one, I mean, I'll get one up and running. It was hard for me to do it because I was doing it blind. I didn't have a board for it yet, and so when Jim originally did these, I'd written up that just a quick player for it. Was able to get pretty good sound out of it. So I mean, it's just you got to get the board and build it, and so.
Paul Barton's
cool.
back.
Can you keep us up to date on that? I know Bill Noble had one of these and actually had a keyboard to plug directly into it. You could play polyphonic sound on it.
Right.
We demoed it at one of our Coco fairs up here in Saskatoon, and it was pretty impressive. So, especially when you get all 12 voices.
It's a nice board because you can.
These.
What's that, Paul?
What? I ordered one of these, but I went to buy the AY chips, and I don't know where I can get them without getting them from England.
Chet, do you know of an alternate source for the AY chips? I mean, Jim might, but he's not in chat today. So.
No, I don't. I'm not aware of any. I mean, other than maybe eBay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll get Jim on next week, and he can kind of give us, because I'm sure he wouldn't have made manufacturing this if there's no place to get chips.
Yeah.
And Paul, are you going to be able to stick around for a bit, or
yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay, good. Because Steve had mentioned you, and your story's still coming up here, so I didn't want to make sure you were around for it.
Yeah. So with this card, there two of the chips are on the left channel, and two of the chips are on the right channel. And so you can actually get some really, really good sound, because I think the way that Larry did it was that it used each chip for a voice. So it would do, mix three different, tones with the noise in order to get a single instrument out of it. So you got some really, really rich sound. That's how I do the cool polyphonic stuff with the keyboards.
Oh, cool. And then if you have two chips on each side, then you've got
stereo.
What is it? 6 voices and 2 percussion channels per side in stereo.
Right.
This is the card that you want to port Gyrus for as well, because Gyrus, one of the things about it is that it used the AY chips and a lot of them to do stereo in the arcade. Right. So with this board, you could actually support the original music and sound effects fully for that game.
That might be a VGM for you to find there, Chet.
Yeah. There's, I mean, if it's been ripped, then yeah, I'll be able to get it, because they just. You have to hook directly at the chip, or there's some emulators that do it. So I may actually be able to produce it myself.
Cool.
Yeah,
and I think MAME has support for this chip too, so you might be able to just wire in for them to the CoCoTALK emulation.
Actually, I've got a port already started for VCC of this. It's similar to the one that I did for the chip that's in the Game Master cartridge. So I mean, and that may end up. I may end up submitting that to the OVCC crew that's over there, doing the thing for that. But yeah, it's not too difficult to get that done. You could do it in MAME pretty easily. You just have to map it into the particular ports and jigger it in with a PIA.
Yeah, because that'll enable people to test it and even play it if they don't have the board yet, or vice versa, like you being able to program it and test it without actually having the board yet.
Right. Yeah, so as I understand it, I think there's a couple of people in the community that tinker around with the MAME code, so they might be able to cobble something together that's got that included with it at the same ports.
Cool. Yeah, Tim Linder, I know, is still active in there. So
I wonder how much money we have to gather to buy all the goodies you can buy. The MC10 stuff, all the stuff Ed sells, the stuff Pat makes, maybe what, $5,000 or something.
Oh, it's $108,032.
Well, there you are.
Yeah. And you do need a 64 slot multi-pack to plug them all into. So
yes.
Yeah.
Or a lot of white cables.
And a power generator.
Yeah, you need your own grid.
Make sure you get that heat sink on there too. That's
big ass fan.
Now that could make some, some real noise, some real news for the Coco. Paul Barton powered up his machine and caused a blackout for half of
Arizona.
Yeah.
Like Bill when he fired up the PDP-11 in his apartment.
And if I remember right, this is fully decoded, so you should be able to use a white cable with it.
Yeah, it won't ghost over your disc controller or something.
I'd have to take a look at the diagram for it again, but I'm pretty sure it was fully decoded.
And solder it to my old serial port.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those of you who are hardware tinkerers here, it's only $6 for the board. So, and then just have to find the AY chips, and we do have to get some software. Like Chet's obviously writing. I'd love to find the original Symphony 12 software, but I don't think any of that's been found yet, or the Lyra driver. Is it Lyra or Lyra? I don't know how to pronounce that.
I don't care.
It's another way of saying I don't know.
Yeah, of all the things I've got to worry about on the Coco, that is probably not even on the list. I can't. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with the chip, and I'm not sure. Again, I have to look at the diagram again, but I'm pretty sure that if you drop in the version of the chip with the I/O ports on it, you can use those as well. I don't know if you'd have to run some jumpers or whatever into it, but yeah. So there's some options to tinker with this card and play with it some more. I'd like to see something running 4 of these.
Yeah.
There is a Constellation Lyra.
How's
Is it spelled the same?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
probably.
We'll take that as the official pronunciation then, unless Rich Perry comes by and corrects us.
Yeah.
Next step.
Webster's just change it again anyway.
Next up, Alan Huffman put up a blog post on the alternate color sets that can be done on the 32x16 hardware tech screen. So this is basically the screen 0,1. Now, unfortunately, BASIC has a trap in it that as soon as you print anything to the screen, it immediately reverts back to the standard green. So you have to print something and then hold it with a 4nex loop or something. But it kind of goes through here, and also the inverse video of each. So there's your standard screen, which some people think is black on green. It's not. It's really dark green on
dark green
light
on
green,
light green
on
yeah.
nuclear green, eyesore green. So that's what it really kind of looks like. And
Would poke 359 come as 0 get around that reverting it back?
Yeah, I wouldn't use 0. I would use 57 instead.
Okay, but
to be a bit safer. I mean, it's still not safe if you're doing disk I/O to files and stuff there because it screws up the hook for BASIC. But I mean, if you got proper, you'd actually write a little thing that would call it back normally type thing afterwards. But there's the inverse version of that. Now, of course, the Coco VGA and the Coco 3 have palette registers, so you can actually change all of these to whatever the heck you want. And the Coco 2Bs with the T1 VDG, of course, allow you to do the inverse video in software with one poke, or in hardware, I should say, with one poke, and then BASIC works perfectly fine with it. And then you can also change the actual colors themselves. And you fill in the border with a solid green if you want, or solid orange or whatever, too. So
nice.
And next up here, we've got Darren Ottery. I believe he's Australian too, isn't he, Nick and David?
Crikey.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we shared a couple of short videos showing a cool visual trick you can do in BASIC. This works on the MC10 with the MCX, which we were kind of just discussing, the sort of MCX sequel, and on the Coco 123, and I presume this works on the Dragon as well, where you switch the graphics mode's resolution with the same scene, the left drawn on the screen. And I think this is the technique that Steve Bjork used to do the blow-up sequence in Canyon Climber, where the whole screen shakes up and down type thing. Because you're changing it on the fly. Now you can change, and he mentions it in the video here, that you adding extra colons or taking out extra commas and stuff here, you can actually vary the speed in BASIC slightly to give you different effects.
So here's a bit of weirdness
It's only minutes,
for you.
I'll just let it play through.
This is something I used to do as a kid on my Coco, just flipping between 2 P modes with a circle or whatever you want on the screen, because they're using different vertical res. The flipping causes an animation, which if you vary anything around line 50 or line 60, for example, removing the comma ones, which aren't needed, that'll change the speed of which the animation works just ever so slightly, so you'll get a different effect. Anyway, just thought it's interesting. It's a bit like that phenomenon you get when you shine a strobe light onto a ceiling fan that's spinning. You can kind of, if you get the right speed of the strobe light to almost match the speed of the spinning fan, you can make the fan sort of look like it's slowing down or moving backwards. Anyway, check it out.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
There it is, the blob.
So that's a pretty cool effect, and I've seen it, just to shake up a screen like you blew up, so we're gonna shake the screen around. But actually, Basic's slow enough; it actually almost makes it look animated.
It looks fluid. You know what I mean? It looks like it's stretchy, malleable material. It looks like a water balloon or something. It's very cool.
You'd have to try that.
Good on you.
That's a pretty cool effect there.
Good on you there, Daz.
And then he did a Coco 3 version here, or Coco 1 and 2 version, I should say. Now I don't know if this zoom up thing's gonna work.
It's not gonna work, Curtis. You're gonna break the internet, Curtis.
All right, we'll leave it on here. I gotta set the quality to HD, otherwise you don't see the actual striping as it actually would show up on real hardware.
Oh yeah.
But it's a bit of a different effect because the timing's different on the basic.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I wish they'd fix this stupid full screen thing. Anyway. Pretty cool effect, though, I thought. And like I said, I think that's what Steve Bjork used in Canyon Climber for the screen shaking when you blow up the dynamite type thing. So you can even do that in Trick and Basic. And Paul, since you're here, I will just zoom up the picture and let Paul explain. I won't bother reading what he said here, just because this is so cool looking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of my... I looked at all the disto stuff and got his schematics and figured out what he was actually doing. And all the decoding stuff is in that 2032 lattice CPLD.
How come there's no wire showing on the top here?
Yeah, right. Well, there's a couple of resistors. Okay, so there's a CPU, and to the right is the data buffer, which I brought up to the board. So I got a whole lot of pins plugging the CPU and the data buffer back into the CoCo. And then to the left of the CPU is a pretty fast static RAM for those times. It was probably either 15 or 20, 25 nanosecond, 16. No, it was more than 16. It was 4-bit, separate in, separate out, RAM, just static RAM. And so I used that for the paging, that's FF9B stuff. For the disto page switching. And so it's basically a 2 meg deal. 1 meg on the left, 1 meg on the right. The 2 chips in the middle actually buffer all the address lines and the read-write, wrap and cast from the CoCo up into these chips, but not the data lines. And it seemed to work just fine. I used it and it worked great. I have no idea where that board is now, but it had a lot of pins on the bottom to plug it in. So it was the start of the NoCan stuff.
Yeah, and I actually had one of your NoCan 3s with the 8 meg upgrade in it. You later took the design up to 64 meg and higher, if I remember correctly, too.
Right. So this is how I got started. And you'll notice that it is a repack. There's a power supply on the left.
Yeah,
and the heat sink and transistor are missing. The keyboard's on a very long cable. I've had those keyboards up to more than 3 feet with even just a regular PIA, not the custom chip, and it still worked fine. And of course, you can tell I got a different ROM in there. And then on the right, you see a little piece of Y cable that was actually plugged into the bottom of the game slot, which is needed because then it flips the pin rows over so they come out correct. So if you want to solder square pins onto your game card or whatever, you just plug it into the IDE cable Y slot and you're home free.
And I mentioned too, like this is your first prototype of it. So when you got to the point where you're doing the NoCan 3, which had 8 meg of RAM, not just 2, and you had 16550 high-speed serial ports on it, and you had your turbo mode and a light, and the board was probably about half the size of this or less.
Yeah. Right. Well, these are probably 256K sims, so, and you had to use the multiple chip ones. You couldn't use the 3 chip ones because I'm actually using the refresh off of the CoCo and not a custom refresh circuit.
Yeah, that was the 8 versus 9-bit sims, if I remember.
Yeah, 8 or 9, either one. He just ignored the extra one, just grounded the inputs.
Hey, for those of you who've seen the NoCan 3, because I brought it to the CoCo Fest before, and I've since given it to Jim Brain. it's kind of a historical thing because this was the first one that broke the disto 2 meg barrier once you got up to the 8 meg versions and higher. So that was the ultimate memory upgrade for a Coco 3 for decades. And now there's talk that the Gimme X and stuff will start supporting 8 meg and higher again, but based on Paul's work from this far back.
Right. Yeah, when I got the 64 megabyte version, I was going to go bigger, but there was too much other stuff going on in my life. It just didn't work out. But
and I remember Robert Galt actually wrote some RAM disk drivers to handle the 64 meg, so there actually was some software support for it. It was a hell of a big RAM disk.
Used it, and so it was a 62 megabyte RAM disk, and it took forever to fill it. I tried filling it once. It just took hours and hours. I just gave up.
Yeah, doing a 62 meg memory copy on a Coco at 1.78 megahertz, not the quickest thing in the world.
No, not. But once you get it filled, it's actually faster than like a hard drive or a floppy drive or any of that stuff, because the driver that Robert wrote was pretty quick.
Yep, especially on a 6 or a 9, because then you can actually do a TFM, just between memories. So
right.
So I got it all loaded in, but then my dad turned my Coco off.
Yeah,
save that electricity.
That was the one thing. That was the one thing about the 8 meg and the 16 meg, those other ones. It had that auto refresh circuit. So even if you did a reset and didn't hold it down, but just pushed reset, went right back into Nitrous 9, it was still there. So you could just reboot it and reinitialize it, and all your stuff was still in RAM disk. It never went away. As long as you didn't turn the power off, it kept it, even though you had to reboot.
Yeah, I remember Alan DeCock used that too. I don't think he had one of your boards. I think he did that on 512, but he had a RAM drive that was set up specifically to do the same sort of thing where you could reboot. And, if you crashed, if you're testing something, as long as you had overwritten the RAM drive, it would still be intact on your next reboot.
Hey guys, I noticed.
And I used that.
I noticed when now that I have 2 megabyte on my Coco, and you have the SDC in, and you play something and you turn it off and turn it back on again right away, you get nothing, just an OK prompt. You have to actually wait a little bit so the memory will clear, and then it'll work.
The distos did that too.
Yeah, not used to that.
Yeah.
And then the last story we've got for today, Kevin Ray posted a picture of his July 1983 Rainbow magazine, which was a second anniversary edition. And this was the one that had the famous record inside of it.
Who posted this? I thought this was Randy Weaver. Or Kevin Ray, never mind. I thought it was Randy Weaver who posted one of these. Never mind. Okay.
So I have this issue too, and I had the record, but I've long lost it. But basically, it was a little pull-out. You would actually peel it off, and there's these little flexi discs, and that little spot on the right-hand side of the inside there that you had to put a coin on to keep it level because it would just bounce around too much and give you eye errors. But basically, if you had a record player that had a headphone jack on it, you could just plug in the black plug from your cassette deck into the record player, and then you could play and load these 3 basic programs in without even having a cassette tape at all. So it was kind of a neat idea. I know the Commodore 64 and a few other systems also had times where they did the flexi disk type thing to load programs too. I can't remember if Rainbow was the first. It was the first one I'd heard of at the time. Maybe somebody else beat them to it.
But it was stereo by any chance?
No.
High fidelity.
And how long would the record last? How many times could you play it?
I don't have a clue. Like I said, I lost mine very early on, so it.
I don't know why I thought Randy Weaver. Because when I was reading some of these, maybe Randy had posted before or after or commented on it, but I don't know why I had Randy Weaver's on the brain.
I think in the comments there they say that you can only play it through a few times before the needle tears it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not have that problem. I had it for over a year, and I used it dozens of times, and I didn't have that problem.
Oh, good.
So I think it just maybe depended on the quality of your stylus or whatever on the record player.
But I believe that you did mention that these are all in the. Are they in the archive? The games?
Yes.
Okay.
They're also on the Rainbow and Disc and Rainbow on Tape for that same issue. But
yeah.
This was a way for people that did not have Rainbow and Tape or Rainbow Disc.
Right.
To save you having to type in the programs.
It's definitely a cool collectible. It's something that you don't see every day.
And Rainbow did this. The first anniversary is when they first went and got color covers and stuff. So that was their first anniversary. And then for the next few anniversaries, they tried to do unique things every time. So like the second anniversary was the record. There was another one that did Scratch and Sniff Adventures, where those 6 boxes where you'd play the adventure game and said, you find something, scratch box 3 to figure out what it is. And, oh, that's pine needle smell. That must be pine needles and that type of thing. So they did a lot of innovative things on their anniversary editions for a few years.
That's augmented reality, man.
Hope they didn't have any horse.
I don't know. That's what they probably smell like now after you scratch them like for 30 years. I don't know.
I remember Mad Magazine had an issue where they had a disc like this.
Yeah, they had multiple ones. They had the one with the super spectacular day where they had different endings every time you played it.
Yeah, it had eight interwoven spirals, and wherever the needle would drop, it would play one of the 8 versions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Yeah. I wore mine out quickly.
What was the thing at the end of the Mad Magazine where you folded it? You folded.
Yeah, Al Jaffe did the
fold in.
Yeah. Did Rainbow ever do anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that was the last news story for the day. So.
Time to wake up.
Hey, Mikey. He's back. Mikey's back. All right. Well, we had some internet interrupt us a few times. I've been having some internet issues, and the new service that I switched to hasn't necessarily fixed that problem completely.
So does
now you can complain now.
Does the new Windows have a new blue screen? Because I saw this blue screen come up and it said your PC needs to reboot, and it's a really low res screen. It's blue. It's a light blue. Has anybody seen that?
With the smiley face?
On Windows 10. Windows 10, yeah, it does do that.
Yeah. First time I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's a lighter blue than the usual Windows blue screen.
We'll restart your computer for you.
It looks like an 8-bit screen too, because it's all changed.
That's a daily thing for me.
Yeah, really? I haven't had a blue screen since Windows. Oh gosh.
Almost every time I stream, it was a blue screen of death.
Yeah, I tend to use green screens now. They work better.
All right, well, we've covered project updates and acquisitions, but before we sign off, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about? And what I'll do while you guys are thinking about that, I just got a message from Brian Joyce. He says he did an update. You remember the, what did David Ladd break, this thing where the Cartman's head exploded? You remember that one? He says he's done a new one, but he probably put it in my old Google Drive, which I have to find. So I'll look for that. So I don't know if you guys have any last parting thoughts or things you want to talk about. Talk amongst yourselves while I'll see if I can find this file that Brian Joyce sent us.
So does anybody know, do you think it's possible to take, if you have a, a Coco VGA machine and you have this VG6 screen, do you think it's something you can put in your SDC and have it boot up like Coco 3 can? Is it possible, do you think?
Well, what loads that program? Is it a basic program that loads it?
It's a viewer program. No, it's
yeah, there is a viewer
program. Well, make your
AutoExec.bas
run that program, no?
There is a viewer program for those SG6 files. I have it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and the idea is basically, I think, would be to take the program that's in that and somehow modify it so that it runs with the screen. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, the AutoExec.bas is what runs when the STC boots up, so have that run whatever you want.
Yeah, there's a file you rename that normally you run STC Explorer with.
Yeah, no, Ron knows that. He's already doing that. He's doing that.
I've done it.
Oh, you could run your screen and then have your screen.
Yeah, you need to get. I'll see if I can't find it. My stuff's not running right now, so maybe reach out to Brendan Donahue as well. Because he gave me one to load the
VG6 file is different than a bin file.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, there's your problem.
It's a different image, and so it needs a different image display program. But that program exists because Brendan gave it to me. I have it. But you're going to probably be able to get it from him quicker than you get it from me because I'm going to have to find the Coco, plug it in, find the file. So if you just message him on Discord or on Facebook, he can get it to you. Yeah, it will be a basic program. It'll be just like instead of loading Sockmaster's image viewer, you're going to load Brendan's SG6 viewer and put it in your startup file.
Well, yeah, that I've done. I have the viewer. That's cool. But what I'm saying is, is there a program that you can make a VG6 into a bin file so you can tell it BASIC to execute the the file, just like a BIN file.
Oh, you want to make it a program where you can do a load M exec.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then have it in the SDCX.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Now, again, that's probably a question for Brendan Donahue.
Okay.
Because he gave it to me. He gave me something in BASIC to load it up and display it. But I'm sure
the viewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure where Brian put the file right now because the way I'm using Google Drive is different. So we'll have to give that offline. I would like to see the new thing that he sent. But what we could do, just for grins and giggles, is that we I can play the old one because I have the old one. And the Floppy Life commercial. Since Brian's here, Extructus Productions, we'll play that. We'll come back for parting thoughts. But yeah, this the whole what did David Ladd break, and then the Floppy Life, and then we did get some professional voiceovers on that Floppy Life commercial too for those who listen to the audio podcast version of the show for their listening pleasure too. So how about a little bit of David Ladd as we celebrate the life and times of David Ladd, and may God rest his soul. He's still with us, but we're going to celebrate his life and times anyway. So hold on. Oh yeah! Are you excited? I'm excited. Oh, it's gonna be a great show. I can feel it. Let's get our Cocos going.
And now these messages.
Hello, I'm David Ladd. Thank you for watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live CoCoTALK show.
Good night. This is Nick Marionettes. Crikey. After you buy Gunstar...
Stop right there.
Okay, fine. After you bought Gunstar, go ahead and buy your copy of the Coco Fest edition of...
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
It's a quarter of the quality at half the cost.
ESP 8266-01 RS232 TTL Wi-Fi network, 4-pin DIN, Fitbanger, DB9, PC IP, DriveWire.
This portion of CoCoTALK brought to you by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex, thought to help you with your floppy life.
In a world where hard drives rule and floppies are superfluous, one man, one legend, one old fart dared to learn the floppy and took the brunt of jokes. Then all hard drives and SSDs died, but the floppy survived. And the only man who knew floppies became a legend once more. Floppy Life, the David Ladd story. This summer, straight to YouTube.
8-slot MPI, floppy drive, Coco SDC, Sound Speech Pack, Orchestra 90, RS232 pack, modem pack, Super IDE. You start adding all those together if you want them all usable at the same time. Well, guess what? You just went over the 4-slot MPI. David Ladd. Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff.
And there we go. There's our tribute to David Ladd. You know him.
Yeah.
You love him. The Lord of the Floppy. The Duke of Digital Data. Sir David Ladd. Great show today, guys.
Drive.
Yes. Have we missed anything? Is there anything that we have withheld from the audience that we now need to
I think
unleash?
the only thing we've missed, is useful content. But other than that,
Yeah, that's it.
Big old dumpster fire.
That's like every week.
Yes. Paul T. Barton, thank you for being here today, sir. Always a pleasure to have you on.
I love it.
Ron Delvaux has been here.
Yep.
Ron, how you doing? For those of you who are not sure what to be for Halloween this year, you might want to run out and get yourself the Ron Delvaux costume. I got mine. I got my Timberman beard that you can put on. And No actual trees were harmed in the making of this beard, just so you guys know. We've had David O'Connor here from Australia. Crikey. Thanks for being here, David.
Dave's here, man.
I haven't been piping up as much as normal because of this stinking 11-day migraine, but I love being on the show. So
We love having you. Reminds me of the South Park episode. Hey man, you're not wearing your mask over your nose. It's just a chin diaper, right? So that's what I mean. It's a chin diaper. From the Great White North. L. Curtis Boyle has brought us Game On news and regular news and snoozy news. Thank you for being here, Curtis.
I exist only to serve Michael's nap time.
And also to help Ken Reichard get his HIO up to your standards. So
finally, but he did. So I give him credit.
He got with it. The man whose name is so nice, he just can't get tired of hearing it. He needs more and more segments where
bring it on.
Yes, it is. Nick Marotta. Thank you for being
You're
here.
bad for my ego in a good way, or
That
good for
is
a bad way.
I just can't quit you, Nick. So,
why do you think it is we don't have any women on this show, man?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Obviously, because Nick Marotta stole them all after we published his old, Teen Beat magazine.
That's right.
Isn't he dream?
They just contact him directly, bypass the rest of us.
Not even half a woman or anything.
Yeah, and for those who forget what it's like to,
We've got David.
Some of you are married, at least.
Yeah.
Right.
Brian Weasler with your collection of goodies. Thanks for being here again, sir. Always a pleasure to have you.
Of awe.
You're welcome.
Maybe we could have a wife show and everybody's wife or girlfriend could come on.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That would be a short episode.
Planning about how much you guys spent on your Coco stuff.
Coco Wives Club.
Maybe
time for another edition of
Can
Good
you
Idea.
believe he
Bad
bought
Idea.
this crap?
No, you
How
know
many
what?
dumpsters did it take to get rid of all of it?
You know what?
Right.
I think we can combine this with a virtual Coco Fest and maybe make it an auction. So the Coco Wives auction.
Are they going to be auctioning off the Coco stuff and be
No,
auctioning
the
off
wives.
the
We're
husbands?
gonna
That's my
auction
question.
off
This crap is I'm getting rid of it now. Who wants it?
You
Up
could
next,
ask your wife or girlfriend,
yes.
what was your first game you played on the color computer? You never had a chance to play. Your husband kept playing
I
it.
remember what
Coco
Game On
Widows.
game that was, the first one.
Chet Simpson, thanks for being here, as always.
Yep.
All that you do. Michael Furman, thank you for staying awake during the news today. That was very nice of you.
Oh yeah, I actually learned something. Hey, I have one question about the about this week's game. So come back to me for the question.
Okay. Rick Euland, thanks for being here and for all those cool pictures of all those Cocos you're working on. That's good stuff.
A pleasure as always, and now I must re-enter the 4th level of KiCad.
Jason Reichard, I'm sure you're working on another product involving a Switch at some point in time.
Oh, yes, Steve.
Are you excited about toggle switches? I know I am.
I am so excited about toggle switches. I've got a whole drawer full of them over here ready to go.
Can they change our lives?
Oh, yes.
Why are your drawers full of switches?
Mark Bosley.
I have a problem.
Yep. I just got to say thanks to Curtis. I really appreciate the cold front you're sending me.
You're welcome anytime.
So I got to get out and mow the yard before it gets here.
Okay. Alan Murphy, thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, man, for not having a topic, it sure does generate a whole lot of
Not a hot air. This
time
balloon.
fill. Yeah.
Yes, it
I'd
does.
hate to see what happened if we had a topic.
Oh, God forbid.
That's when we have the 6-hour shows.
Yes. Now, of course, we saved the best for last. The creator of the trash can. The best part of Nitrous 9 was created by Nicholas Marentes, the trash can. Thank you, Nick, for being here. We look forward to the 19th game you'll be cranking out this year.
Stop right there.
Still have all of November and all of December, so I expect
That's
to
it.
see one
Yeah,
more.
we need.
Another 3 games.
Maybe you could do a cheap semi-graphic knockoff of something. You never know. So,
I just told my wife they're going to have a wife's version of CoCoTALK. You want to do it? She said, no.
It's going to be a common answer.
Shocked.
Two letters.
Yeah.
Did you
Two
take
letters,
that
one
long
word.
to think
That
about
sounds
it?
about right.
No.
And to our viewers in the audience, Brian Joyce has been here. Frodo has been here. Daryl has been. Oh, I can't scroll back any further because I kept losing the stream. But we've had a lot of people in the live chat today watching the show. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing this god-awful experience with us all. We appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your evening. Start playing Rampage, the game for next week. And say goodbye, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody, see you next week.
Hey, everybody.
I'll ask my question later.
Wait, Michael
Sorry,
Furman. Michael, go ahead. Michael, go ahead.
Is Rampage one of those games that needs to do some like bank switching thing?
I don't think so. That's just 128. It was a cartridge, so it was 128K.
I'm not sure if it had a bank switching.
I don't think it did.
Not,
I think it was a 32K ROM. That's the only thing I remember.
Because I tried the disc that's on the archive.
We can't. We're still live. Okay, I'll press the button now. We can ask that question off the air. All right, we're pressing the button. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.